Let us bow down for a word of prayer. Dear God, we come before you this evening, thanking you for bringing us here today. We thank you for the candidates, we thank you for the panelists, we even thank you for the attendees. As we start the program, we ask that you may help it run smoothly, that you may help it achieve its objectives, and we pray for the Law Society of Kenya, that you may continue to refine us, and that you may continue to strengthen us and to make us even better. This is our prayer, believing and trusting in Jesus' name. Amen. Now the national anthem. O God of all creation, blessed is our land and nation. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty. Let it be found within our borders.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We may be seated.
Allow me to welcome the chair of the branch. We welcome our host first, Dean Dr. Lando, who will officially welcome us here. And then we will have opening remarks. Wangwana, tutulie kidogo. We will have opening remarks from our hosts, Dr. Lando, who has been kind to us, kind enough to host us here. Then from Dr. Lando, we'll have remarks from the chair of the branch, and then we'll proceed from there. Dr. Lando, karibu.
All right, good afternoon, or rather good evening. Yes, my name is Dr. Lando. I'm the Dean Riara Law School. I'm an advocate, so I'm among colleagues and fellow members. I just want to say welcome to Riara University, welcome to Riara Law School. Feel free to engage with us at any point when you need to engage with the law school, with students and all that stuff that we do. So karibuni sana. And without without further ado, let me just invite the chair of the LSK Nairobi branch, Madam Helen, to make a few remarks. But karibuni sana. It's a pleasure to host you, and it's a pleasure to interact and engage with the LSK Nairobi.
Thank you, Dr. Lando. Good evening, members. My name is Helen Namisi, Chair LSK Nairobi branch. I want to say first, thank you very much to Riara Law School for hosting us this evening. And thank you all, to all of you who have shown up today. Thank you for those who are joining us online on Facebook. Please make sure your friends are online. Tell them we are online on Facebook, we are live. So thank you very much for coming out today. Thank you to the candidates for agreeing to be part of this debate. I don't want to take too much time because it is their evening. Let me invite our moderators. We have two very tall gentlemen and one beautiful lady. We have Dr. Felix Odhiambo, soon to be Dr. Evans Ogada, and the beautiful Eunice Lumalas, who will take us through the rest of the evening. Karibuni.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are doing badly. Dr. Lando has invited you here, has given you space, and probably mmepewa China mandazi. The chair of the branch has been gracious enough to find space for us to converge as brothers and sisters. Despite the heat of the moment, siasa, which will pass, we still remain one fraternity. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a good hearty clap for Dr. Lando and Mheshimiwa Namisi. And Ogada akisimama clap yake inakuwaga ile ya Moi. You people, Gen Zs, people like Michieka who make a lot of noise here. Kati ya Moi ilikuwa mnapiga makofi ya Moi. I think Zeko Pere can show us. How did we clap during Moi's time? Moja, mbili, tatu. Hiyo ilikuwa ni warm up. So let's do it in unison. Moja, mbili, tatu. Asante sana. Now, as was introduced, I will be working with my brother and sister here, Atari Felix teaches at KU. He's a practicing lawyer, a seasoned member of this branch. Eunice Lumeles, seasoned advocate of many years, a stellar name in her own right. She has done a lot, resume, kula huko kwa website. Mimi yangu ni footnote huko chini. I teach at the University of Nairobi. Now, allow me to introduce the candidates because of time. Now, our presidential candidates, ukitajwa, we are still doing it the Moi way. Unaamka unatusalamia, unapunga mkono kwa hewa. And this, atujarig, this is in alphabetical order. Daudi Caroline Kamende. Asante sana. Asante sana. Manyonge Peter Wanyama. Asante sana. Mnaweza karibia jukwani Mheshimiwa Kamende, mnaweza karibia jukwani. Aya, Mbote Harriet Boshe. Hey. Sorry. Boshe Harriet Joki. Niuguo. Hivyo. Aya, oka, karibu. Makofi. Aya, KBN. Ngetich Bernard Kipkoech. Asante sana. Then Odhiambo Faith Moni Aoko. Asante sana. So those are our presidential candidates. And these are our friends. I realize that we have supporters in the room. These are our friends. These fellas here are friends. When all this will be done, we will go to court together. We will practice together, same side, opposite side, but we remain brothers and sisters in defense of constitutionalism and the rule of law. So we will expect the way they've conducted themselves in a civil manner, we will also conduct ourselves in a civil manner on this side. See, tuko pamoja. So let's keep it civil. I keep reminding ourselves that we are brothers and sisters. Sindio? Now, I want to introduce them and read their bios quickly. Just a moment. Wendy, do we have the bios here? Who is Wendy? Okay. I see we have the JSC candidates. We have their bios here, but my brothers and sisters here will introduce themselves, and I will hand over to the co-moderators. Or do we have their bios here? These are for the JSC. So we'll deal with this at the JSC. I think my friends here will introduce themselves. I hand over to you. Thank you.
What we are going to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is to allow our esteemed candidates for the presidential seat to introduce themselves and tell us, each of them has 3 minutes to tell us what it is that inspires them to run for these seats to represent us and, you know, introduce themselves to you. So 3 minutes each of them. The timekeeper will keep the time and we'll raise a paper just to show that your 3 minutes is up. Kindly be fair, make sure you're using that time appropriately. Thank you. I'll start with Faith, who is next to me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Change is inevitable. Change is constant. As sure as the storm rounds out of the rain, so do we see the blooming of the flowers. And that's why you understand the importance of the rain. The Law Society of Kenya is looking at challenges, not only on the rule of law, but also on our practice spaces. We are facing challenges of how can we ensure our members have adequate bread and butter to make a difference in their lives, and also to ensure that they enjoy the fruits of their hard work. And that is why I'm asking you to have faith in Faith. Faith in her years of experience, having served at FIDA Kenya as a council member, then as a board secretary, having served you as a council member of Nairobi representative, then the vice president of the Law Society of Kenya. I understand the challenges that we have, the divides that have been there, and we have been working to ensuring that we are building a law society that will serve each and every one of you. The PSP agenda focuses on protection of the rule of law, stability of the bar, and progress. That we work hand in hand as the story, as we did recently in Nakuru, coming together to work together with our members at the branch to fight to uphold the rule of law. That our judges may not be scared, because the Law Society, when we speak as one voice, we roar. Stability of working together as a team is important in a leader. And that is why I'm asking you to have faith in Faith. I've worked well with my council, I've worked well with the caucus of branches, and I'm assuring you that we will ensure the council works as one, and the Law Society surmounts all the challenges that we'll be having the next 2 years as one Law Society of Kenya. In terms of progress of our practice spaces, we're already working the PSP agenda in how we will focus on not only law reform, but also CPD to train and accredit our members to the new areas of practice. Let LSK be the one to hold your hand. LSK should be your godfather. LSK should be the one to help take care of you, also with regards to the welfare challenges that we have as a society. And I'm reminding you that on 29th of November, the leader that you need, the leader that will work for you and walk with you, is none other than Faith Moni Aoko Odhiambo. Thank you.
Good evening, colleagues. My name is Kipkoech Bernard Ngetich, KBN, and KBN Nitisho. Tried, independent, sober, honest, and very objective. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the reason why you should elect Bernard Kipkoech Ngetich, otherwise KBN, as your next president? Number one, KBN is experienced, is being tried, is being tested, is being tested. I have been a branch leader for 5 years. I have been in council for 4 years, 2 years as a treasurer. I do not have an audit query. I have a litany of cases on public interest litigation. Importantly, I have defended Professor Nandwa, who was arrested for defending a client who had a case related to terrorism. I have defended Charles Sena, an advocate who did a sale agreement but was prosecuted because of doing his work as an advocate after doing due diligence. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a plan. I have an agenda that is attainable, which is smart and which speaks to very important issues of practice: mentorship and welfare, accountability, checked institutions, and expansion of opportunities. Colleagues, if you elect Kipkoech, I will work with council to ensure that within a few days, practice in Nairobi, practice at Milimani Law Courts comes to that level where advocates are able to get their fees optimally, where the registry is functional and corruption is minimized. I will work, colleagues, to ensure that our practice in conveyancing at ATHI, that is to the ATHI platform and other platforms, is efficient, is effective. Friends, we will want to fight back, to bring back practice at the registrar of companies, BRS, which has been taken over. I want to assure you, my brothers and sisters, that if you elect me, within no time, we will work to ensure that the Advocates Benevolent Association, which is largely obsolete, is transformative and moves towards the direction of being a medical cover and a last option respect. Ladies and gentlemen, Kipkoech Bernard Ngetich is tried. This is the man of the season. This is the person who understands the terrain. This is an advocate who is very sober. This is an advocate who understands the council politics. This is an advocate who understands the operations of the secretariat. This is a person who understands the branches, chapters, and centers. Elect Kipkoech Bernard Ngetich as your next president. Thank you.
Colleagues, good evening. My name is Harriet Njoki Mboshe. I seek to serve the Law Society of Kenya as the next president. Why is it, what inspires me to be before you today? I have served you as a council member of the Law Society, Nairobi representative. For the first time in many years, Nairobi as a branch has actually been treated as such. So that even when you have the national office in Nairobi, traditionally, certain events or certain, for instance, when you have had branch visits, Nairobi has not had the benefit of that. This time round, we were able to push for it and we were able to have it. Many other things we have done to make sure that Nairobi stands out and is able to get the benefit just as every other branch. I have a firm where I do mainly litigation as well as blue economy matters. That is under Njoki Mboshe and Company Advocates. It has been extremely important to shape my desire to serve you members because in my litigation, I focus a lot on law, democracy, and governance concerns. Therefore, fitting squarely within the mandate of the Law Society of Kenya. I also teach law at the University of Nairobi. Again, one of the courses I teach is law, democracy, and governance, squarely placing me and my practice in the heart of law, democracy, and governance. I also teach administrative law. You will realize I'm very keen on fair administrative action. You'll realize I'm extremely keen on independence of institutions. That is why when the president very recently made remarks with respect to not obeying court orders, I was very firm and very quickly issued my statement against that kind of position. I am an institution builder. Colleagues, the Law Society of Kenya needs an institution builder. I have co-founded the Maritime Center at the University of Nairobi, which has helped Kenya meet its obligations as a maritime nation. That is extremely important. I have also founded Utafiti Hub, which has created many opportunities for young advocates. I'm running on the mantra of a bold, firm, action-based law society because the bottom line is that welfare issues and any other issues can only be achieved through an independent bar. Bold, firm action, Sema Mboshe, an advocate or a leader who listens to members, as well as an advocate who stands by an independent bar. Hands off the bar, an important position the Law Society must take. Thank you very much.
Good evening, colleagues. Or is it good afternoon? My name is Peter Manyonge Wanyama. I have another name which some of you are eager to know, Ongrapus. That's my real name. I'm the product of Abukusu. Yeah, I'm the product of Abukusu and a Teso mother. That's why I have that interesting name, Ongrapus. It's a Teso name. I'm not here to cherry pick and lemon sell issues. I don't teach in any university. I don't, I've not served in the council before, but myself, I'm a practitioner. I'm a fellow practitioner. I have risen up from being a squatter to an advocate, and I know the challenges which the legal practice faces. I have done what I call a SWOT analysis on the legal sector in Kenya. And I can confidently tell you that we are staring at a major, major crisis. A crisis which requires a strategic leadership at the Law Society of Kenya, a consequential leadership, a pushy leadership. A leadership that is able to focus for once on the plight of practitioners. Advocates are being paid less than maids in Nairobi. Law Society of Kenya does not even have a database on of unemployed colleagues. Advocates are really suffering outside there. There's a major, major crisis in the legal profession. We need a Law Society of Kenya that is able to be much more strategic when it comes to pushing for bread and butter issues. That means we need a Law Society of Kenya that is able to increasingly engage with stakeholders, especially Parliament, to ensure that we are able to pass conceptually satisfying policy and legal reforms to deepen the legal space, to ensure that we bring WIBA back, to ensure that we protect company law practice, to ensure that we streamline litigation, to ensure that we pass the Advocates Remuneration Order, which under the provisions of the Statutory Instruments Act requires parliamentary approval, and for Parliament to approve it, we need a regulatory impact assessment report prepared after public participation had been done. So it's absolutely important that we are more strategic. Look at conveyancing. There's a clause in the provisions of the Land Registration Act which puts surveyors deeply in our space. The clause that plans shall be geo-referenced. We need to push for an audit of the legal framework governing land sector in Kenya so that we kick out surveyors and brokers who are deep in our sector. If we don't do that, because at the moment they do 40% of our work. And as we speak, they also do succession matters in the rural courts. That's a practice to me which is dying. We need a much more pushy leadership on the question of rule of law. Myself, I promise that as a tiger, I won't pronounce my tigritude. In 2021, when the government of Kenya mandarins wanted to steal JKIA, they wanted to steal JKIA by handing it over to Kenya Airways. I went to court representing the union, and we got an injunction to stop the stealing of Kenya Airports, a major facility, the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Last year, when a cabinet minister working with the Kenya Roads Board wanted to steal 15 billion shillings public money, I am the one who went to court to protect public coffers. I have done what it takes
PMO,
as a strong litigator to ensure that we are able
PMO,
to...
your time is long up, sir.
1 second. 1 second. On rule of law question, you can deduct my other time. On rule of law question, we have to stand at a bar which is facing increasing challenges. An aggressive president, a president who will do what it takes to push back on concerns which don't protect their own political self-interest. So we need a Law Society of Kenya leadership that is not contaminated.
PMO, please stop it at that.
Thank you.
Thank you. For record purposes, I am not contaminated. My name is Daudi Kamende Caroline, and the question that was put to us was why we are vying. Let me start with myself. This is a professional body. Why does a professional body elect its leaders? You need leaders who will talk for you, speak for you, leaders with experience. I am experienced. I have served the Law Society before as a council member, that is 2018-2020, as a vice president, 2020-2022. In the history of the Law Society of Kenya, I boast of having put in place structures, sustainable structures that take care of the welfare of the members. This being a membership body, I take pride in having established structures that will survive me, Caroline Kamende, even after my term was over. 2018 to 2020, I convened the Gender Committee. I put in place the Sexual Harassment and Anti-Bullying Policy. That policy is operational. It stays, and it has stayed after I left office. 2020-2022, when I served as the vice president under the mantra of welfare first, I took charge of the welfare docket. I established an emergency and endowment fund. That fund has survived and will survive Caroline Kamende Daudi in the history of the Law Society of Kenya. I established emergency toll-free lines. Those lines will survive me even after I leave the Law Society of Kenya. You need a leader with experience. I am
a practitioner as well. I've practiced law for the last 19 years. I understand the structure of the Law Society of Kenya. I understand the role of the President of the Law Society of Kenya as the spokesperson. I'm running under 5-point agenda, rule of law and constitutionalism. That power is donated to the Council and the President of the Law Society under the Act. I am running again to protect the practice sphere. That is our bread and butter. I recently took the bull by its own. I filed a case when there was threat to our practice areas. The Huduma Center case, I am the petitioner. I stand for an all-inclusive bar. I have shown that. I have not only when I started with the mantra of welfare first, I fulfilled that. On the all-inclusive bar, everyone under my leadership will feel part and parcel of this society. I am a calm person, and I understand when I need to hit, when I need to engage, and when I need to mediate. Please, I have experience both in courtroom, I have experience internationally. I am a leader. I have led domestically. I have practiced law domestically. I have practiced law internationally in the Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. I have equally led bar associations in Africa. I am the president of the African Bar Association Kenya chapter. So in me, there is a leader internationally, domestically, experience internationally and domestically. Come 29th February 2024, please tick Daudi Kamende Caroline, and as usual, I will not let you down. I stand for service and servant leadership. Thank you.
Thank you so much, candidates. We are very humbled to be with you this evening and to appreciate the lots of things that you've achieved. I have one question for each one of you in the area of practice matters. And each one of you in 2 minutes, please tell us what you consider as the biggest, the most pressing challenge, practice challenge, and what you think or how you intend to deal with that practice challenge if you get elected to office on the 29th. The most pressing practice challenge and how you intend to deal with it, or how you propose to deal with it, should you get into office on the 29th of this month. Thank you. Please, let's start with you, Madam Caroline.
Thank you. Leading by example, the most pressing challenge in practice is the diminishing practicing space. And we recently saw that the judiciary also wanted to take away our practice. Petitioner number 1 in E030 of 2024 is Caroline Kamende Daudi. How will I ensure that our practice is not encroached upon? Monitor legislation. I served in a council where we monitored legislation, and small claims work did not disappear from us because we monitored the bill then that was a small claims bill. I also served in a council that we quashed the decision by the then Attorney General, Honorable Paul Kihara, on outsourcing of lawyers, external lawyers by public institutions. So my mandate will be to monitor all the policies, directives, bills, and any other legislation that will come to encroach upon our practice space. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Caroline. PMO, please, your turn.
I've been very consistent on this. You know, and I will mention it again, the legal sector in Kenya, the legal profession is dying. You will not see the symptoms until it affects you. For some of us in the legal sector, we are facing significant and tremendous challenge. To me, that is a practicing challenge. The question of declining incomes to lawyers and declining incomes to legal practitioners. There are advocates who are grossly underpaid, extremely and grossly underpaid, and we've forgotten about them. We need to do what it takes to ensure that we push for conceptually and meaningful and qualitative reforms to try and protect the practicing space. We need to do what it takes to bring WIBA back. I have been to places and you can see the way advocates are suffering, really suffering. One advocate in Machako simply told me, Wanyama, do what it takes to bring WIBA back. So I will do what it takes to deepen the practice space, and the solution to that is to work strategically with Parliament to ensure that we push through very serious reforms that tightens the loose legal framework that supports the productive sectors of the legal economy. Thank you very
much. Ms. Bosche, kindly.
So one of the very critical aspects that I find is, again, and it's interesting that my sister Kamende here has highlighted it as well, the question of encroachment. And how I see it, there are about 5 limbs to it. The first one being the question of cross-border practice, where you find Section 12 and 13 of the Advocates Act allows for advocates from Tanzania, Uganda, and the Commonwealth, upon satisfying certain aspects, they come and they get admitted. Also in our Kenya School of Law, from those jurisdictions, they are allowed to come and practice. But many of our members have complained about the question of reciprocity. So what I have been pushing for as co-convener of the Cross-Border Practice Committee is amendment of Section 12 and 13 of the Advocates Act, so that then the provision is that we have deleted the specific countries and said that LSK can get into bilaterals and multilaterals that then can ensure that we get reciprocity. The other thing is the question that falls under encroachment, is encroachment by masqueraders. I have again served as a member of the devolution committee, and one of the things I have championed for is the need to increase funds that go to branches so that then they are able to more effectively deal with masqueraders. I confirm that then through the council, we have approved in the next year for designated kitty to go to the branches towards dealing with masqueraders. I am a Nairobi representative, and that is a great problem that Nairobi faces. Another aspect of encroachment is with respect to remuneration. It is important that we have seen consistently that people who are non-advocates are able to come into our spaces, offer certain services, and they are charging premium. So it is extremely important to me, as God willing, the next president of the Law Society of Kenya, to make sure that we quickly amend the remuneration order to make it more competitive for advocates. The other parameter is with respect to in-house counsel. Quite a number of them are looking, and again, I co-convene the in-house counsel committee, even though I'm a litigator. And one of the things, my time is up, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Colleagues, I identify 2 issues which are the most pressing in the practice of law. Number 1, lacking in judicial accountability by the top echelons of the judiciary. Today in the judiciary, judges, magistrates wake up in the morning, post notices that they are rushing for a seminar, they are rushing for a training, they are rushing for a colloquia in Naivasha with a course list running onto 50, 60 matters. We need to rein on this practice. We need to speak to the CJ, speak to the CRJ, speak to the principals of the respective courts and the registrar of the High Court and the magistracy that we need to have a course list on training that is not superimposed on course lists of judicial officers. That is number 1. Number 2, we've had a proliferation of mercenaries. You saw Brian Mwenda in our AGM shutting down Ogada Meso, the short man who says he's not a boy. Quacks have now invaded our practice space. They've invaded our AGMs. They've taken over practice of conveyancing, registration of companies, and immigration law. If elected as a president, I will devolve the Practice Standards Directorate so that it is in every branch and deals with this issue. It is important that I give more funding. I will reduce the council budget by 23 million so that I send monies to all the branches, to all chapters, so that we deal viciously with quacks, with mercenaries, with charlatans, and wipe them out of this country. Thank you, Dr.
Ms. Faith Odhiambo.
I will say I will not talk about expansion of practice spaces because that takes a little bit longer. I will deal with the issue that is at hand that touches us most importantly, incompetence and corruption. First at the courts, particularly at the Court of Appeal. We file 5 2Bs, it's as if you've won the matter. Nothing moves, nothing happens. We have had sit-downs, we have tried to talk, we have tried to negotiate, and we'll now put them on notice. We expect that they do their work and they do it judiciously. When it comes also to the courts, I want us to set a task force together with the council that will go around the country collecting evidence of incompetence and corrupt decisions that have been made. We have seen, as I've walked around the country, decisions that are one-pager that does not say head or tail. What are the issues of the discussion? How they reviewed the law? There's just one decision there. You don't even know how to go to appeal on that matter. And even thereafter, some purport even to hide those files. Some have the brazenness of even trying to approach the client directly, trying to steal the bread and butter, the little that you have fought for, even that wants to be taken away. With regards to conveyancing, that we put TATs at the Ardhi system. It is high time that we know who is behind that 20%, that 30%. There's an expectation that you come and grope around at the land's office trying to find how to move your transaction to completion. And that is how we are advocating for corruption. That we have standard operating procedures that are standard in all the land registries so that we can hold our registrars accountable for the work they do. And also a rapid response team at the land office that finally will be able to get modules that are not already working to start working and our things to start moving. And with the masqueraders, my commitment is that we will work with the branches to ensure we stem out the issue of quacks who are purporting to work in our practice spaces. And I can only say to quacks this: maneno nima, wajipange ama kawakanyaga. Tutawakanyaga.
Thank you very much, esteemed colleagues and aspirants. Allow me to remind everybody. Thank you. They always say a good trial advocate waits until the room is completely silent. That this is live streamed. So a great number of your voting bloc will be watching you. So I thank you and I encourage you to keep up what you're doing. This has been a very rigorous process for you, but it's also preparation for the future. So take heart. Now the next question to you would be, what legal sector reforms should you, as the next president of the Law Society of Kenya National Office, keep an eye on? What legal sector reforms? It's been said that everything is running faster than the legal reforms in the law profession is able to catch on, whether it's technology or whatever else. We are always playing catch up. Let's start with Mr. Kipkoech.
Thank you. Friends, it's important that I mention two things. Number one, development in technology is one thing that the Law Society of Kenya cannot fight. If elected as a president, I will want to revamp the Law Reform Committee. I would want to revamp the ICT Committee. I would want to ensure that the Public Interest Litigation Committee is as vibrant as it can be. The way to deal with technology is to adopt and adapt. But as the Law Society of Kenya, we will have to jump in front of any legislation. We have to be in front of any regulation that wants to regulate practice of law, that wants to bring in artificial intelligence. We would have to ensure that even AFIS as a platform, the BRS system, the technology that deals with immigration, we need to be ahead of this. And as I've said, as a president of the Law Society of Kenya, we would have to adopt, we would have to make sure that we've adapted so that we don't play chase that we've been doing with the AFISASA. Once we are ahead of this technology, we will make sure that our voice is heard. We will ensure that our concerns are taken into account and our practice space is always secured, so that even if we have to upload forms, we have a place to stamp as advocates, we have places to seal as advocates. That is number one. Number two, and very importantly, is the law relating to anti-money laundering, terrorism financing. Today, as we speak, colleagues, our council has ensured that lawyers are finally reporting agents for purposes of money laundering. This is an area which was not precedented. This is an area which was not anticipated. We would need to make sure that we re-engage and ensure that lawyers in this country are not policemen. Lawyers in this country are not spies. Lawyers in this country are not the ones who are doing espionage against their clients. Thank you.
There are a couple of areas that require reforms. One, and which I have been championing for, is the amendment of the Advocates Act with respect to cross-border practice. We must make sure that we create an environment for advocates beyond Kenyan jurisdiction, and where we are not getting reciprocity, we can say it's been real. So I want to push for, and which I've already started pushing for, amendment of Section 12 and 13 of the Advocates Act to remove specific reference to countries and to include the provision for bilaterals and multilaterals. The other thing, and is extremely important, is with respect to making sure, and colleagues, we need a proactive president of the Law Society of Kenya. We must make sure that we are staying ahead of all the legislation that is being proposed, that we are able to sniff it, that we are able to catch it. That is why I have made the commitment to make sure that when I become president, God willing, we will have at least 1,000 advocates being absorbed into the Public Interest Litigation Committee of the Law Society of Kenya. And my undertaking in terms of that is also that there will be a transparent process in terms of allocation of those public interest litigation briefs. Colleagues have been complaining and wondering, what is the criteria that is used? That one, I can assure you, colleagues, I will make it transparent and I'll make it public. The WIBA, we must push for amendment to make sure that the role of advocates is conspicuous at all levels. That is one of the ways that we can use the current, what we have already benefited from in the past and safeguard against it. The other aspect that is extremely important is the realization, as Kip has indicated, that we have things such as technological development that we cannot run away from. As a maritime law practitioner as well, I will certainly be pushing for a scenario where even with the emerging trends, the role of advocates is safeguarded, so that at every point there is a requirement for the role of advocates. We already have something like that in terms of most of the county legislation. So we need to protect that, to ring fence, and to also strengthen it. The question of remuneration, we must push for the amendment of the remuneration order. All these things cannot happen where the cost of living is changing and the welfare of members because of the remuneration order continues to dwindle. So I will push for that particular reform as well.
Thank you very much. I will request the timekeeper to stand so that everybody can know you're the timekeeper. They can watch you. Thank you so much. We can give it to Carol. You already have the mic.
Yes, thank you. The reforms that I will seek to deal with if elected as the president of the Law Society, one will be to initiate review of the pro bono scheme, one to increase the amount and also to ensure that the process of reimbursement of payment is seamless. Currently as it is, it depends on let's say a branch to branch basis. I always see in the WhatsApp groups of the branches that I'm in, members asking when will we be paid. So we need to review that pro bono scheme on the amount and also on the issue of payment. Two, I intend to initiate a review of the advocate's remuneration order that is on fees, the amount that is there, to ensure that it's at par with the current economic times. I was given a challenge by the Mombasa chapter, and the challenge I take is on WIBA. I will initiate review of the sections that took away our bread and butter under the WIBA Act. On masqueraders, we have to face it, technology and also the growth of the profession. I will ensure that we establish an inspectorate wing of the Law Society. Section 28 of the Law Society of Kenya Act allows us to establish directorates. So I will take it upon myself that we establish one, just like medics have theirs, and that will work hand in hand with the branches and the chapters to ensure that we weed them out completely. On conveyancing, when they moved to digitization, there was a consent that was recorded in court. What I would ensure is that the regulations that were crafted thereunder are implemented so that we have effective and efficiency service to our members. For the in-house, I will ensure that there is standardization of the non-practicing allowance. It is there in law, but it is not being implemented. Some of our colleagues in some sectors are paid, others are not paid. So mine will be to ensure that it is standardized and it is also in line with the current hard economic times. So those are my 6 legal reform sectors that I will undertake if you elect me as the president of the Law Society of Kenya. Thank you.
Yep. Mr. Wanyama.
Thank you very much for the question. I think the question was, what legal sector reforms should LSK keep an eye on? So what it means is that there must be an existing reform which is either risky to the legal profession, and you must then keep an eye on. So I'll go straight to the point. One, politicians are what I call purveyors of irredentist ideologies. Don't trust politicians. Right now, there's an imminent risk to our constitution. The dialogue process, there are reforms which Parliament, there's actually a report which has been submitted to Parliament, and there are possible reforms of the Constitution which might happen. And these we might see it happen through consensus. So Law Society of Kenya must be at the center stage to track that constitutional amendment process in Parliament, and more importantly, track the electoral reforms which are anticipated in that legal framework, so that we are able to participate in that national dialogue of the rule of law and constitutionalism in this country. Secondly, another major risk, which a law reform issue which we must keep pace. We must keep pace. And let me just say it here publicly. 2 weeks ago, the National Land Commissioners invited me to a meeting because of my expertise in policy and law reform, and they sought an opinion on a bill which is in Parliament. And we discussed what LSK has done, and it appears LSK is sleeping on the job. There's a bill in Parliament that seeks to strip National Land Commission powers on land acquisition. It's an active bill in Parliament. An active bill in Parliament that appears to offend the provisions of Article 60, 61, 62, and 63 of the Constitution, up to 66, on the function of the National Land Commission. That we must keep pace, because the existing regime of land sector reforms when it comes to acquisition of property has checks and balances to ensure that the Cabinet Secretary does not have all powers. Now, the executive wants to confer the Cabinet Secretary with significant powers on land acquisition. That is a very serious legal risk with which LSK must do what it takes to monitor. Thirdly, how many of you saw your email on 10th of November last year? There was a bill which was submitted to us by Law Society of Kenya, the Advocates Bill. Clause 48 of that bill proposes to establish the Advocates Fidelity Fund. So even when they are telling you that the LSK, they are telling you that they are going to reduce the PC, the government, through that bill, because it's a government bill, proposes to establish a fidelity fund so that when you pay for your PC, you'll contribute to that fund. And the AG is saying that the purpose of the fund is to compensate members of the public from our thieving tendencies as a legal profession. That's a very serious risk to the legal profession. Fourthly, the possible and imminent introduction of a no-fault-based system. The introduction of a no-fault-based system will kill insurance practice in Kenya. We must track it and do what it takes as a legal sector to ensure that we protect that space. If you introduce a predetermined scheme for compensation, more than 40% of the law firms that prosecute insurance claims and defend insurance claims will definitely shut down. I have 3 more, but my time is up. Thank you very much.
I realize that we may get a bit excited about certain points, but colleagues, we are here to listen to the candidates. I urge that we do that, we listen. I welcome Faith Odhiambo.
Thank you.
And by the way, feel free to stand if you feel like. Yeah.
I think I'm fine. So first of all is where we started from, the legal sector. There have been proposals to change and reduce the standards of legal education in this country. And why we will follow up on that legislation or the proposed legislation is that as advocates today you enjoy recognition that you can leave this country and go to another country and apply for a master's or apply to get to work in another jurisdiction. But the moment we start reducing the standards of our education system is the moment that our papers will not be accepted or recognized outside our jurisdiction. So we will defend and not allow watering down of the legal standards of education in this country. Currently, what we need to revamp as well is how we deal at the Law Society of Kenya. The Legislative Directorate is only run currently by 2 members. What I want to do is that we ensure we change that system to the way we deal in PRL, that we have members, you and me, taking part in policy review and legislative review, that LSK is more proactive in capturing bills and proposals that may harm the legal profession, the legal education, and also the members of the public as required under Section 4. We have also signed an MOU with Senate, and I hope to do one with the National Assembly, that they can work hand in hand with the Law Society of Kenya to help us also prepare certain bills of the areas of the practice that we want to build back, such as WIBA, such as admiralty law, immigration, amongst others. Now, let me talk about AML. Now, the reality is, as a country, AML regulations had been put in place, the law and the regulations. What the Law Society did is to protect our members. And part of the settlement agreement was that there are certain areas of practice that can only be done by advocates. And the law should effect to the same, such as change in companies, conveyancing to only be done by lawyers, and also trust by advocates. And by ensuring the same, we're able to build and win back our areas of practice. What the Law Society wants is to protect our members, that the calls that we get to come and defend our members when DCI offices come to descend on your offices, the Law Society, if it stands for you, when they come, all the members will come. But the question is, if you're alone, who will come to stand with you? Now, there are other areas that we need to watch closely. The referendum bill that LSK has been following closely with regards to the proposed changes. Even if we want to go have constitutional changes, the challenges that they had that they could not have the BBI is still there in the referendum. LSK has been participating and will continue to follow up on the same. The electoral proposals, LSK started from the point of elections. We got donors who supported our enumerators to go around the country. We participated in the electoral process as observers. We participated in the election petition as amicus curiae, and we also had different interventions to collect proposals for any electoral reforms. And so as LSK, we are working hand in hand to follow up on the same. About the land acquisition, we have even the land acquisition tribunal to date. The proposal was even to scrap it. LSK intervened in time that we're able to have that land acquisition tribunal that is still there today. And so we are following up, and we will not allow the executive to act arbitrarily. With regards to the advocates bill, LSK has communicated, we have been communicating with the AG's office as well as JLAC, so that we work hand in hand with our members, that we do not allow for a situation where the state is proposing certain changes under the law. What I assure you is the Law Society is not sleeping. The Law Society is working. Thank you.
Asanteni, thank you, thank you, thank you. I welcome my colleagues, Mr. Felix, to take over.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you. I urge us to try and manage time. Thank you for the applause to the candidates. I have one question for the candidates. Now, as advocates, we have our opinions, personal opinions, but when we appear in court, we prosecute our clients' cases. We have recently been treated to the court's position on our colleague Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi, senior counsel. And we may have our own personal opinions about what he says or what he does. But I would want to invite each one of you to give us your thoughts on that, and probably how to deal with the issue, that kind of an issue. Because today it's senior counsel Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi. Tomorrow it might be me in Gis law courts. At the time it's going to be another colleague in Lodwa. And because we are smaller colleagues, nobody might know if some magistrates or the magistrates courts in Oyugis have barred me, have prohibited me from having a right of audience. So to the candidates, please give us the thoughts are, and more precisely, how you propose to deal with that kind of situation going forward. And on this, I would invite Ms. Mboshe to come first.
One of the things I have been extremely deliberate about, and many of you have seen me pushing for, is independence of the bar. And that is why, even though we have had state agents saying that they are sponsoring candidates in this presidential election, I have remained firm as the members' project and the members' candidate, because it is extremely important that your president is able to speak truth to power as required under Section 4 of the LSK Act. One of the aspects or the encroachment on the question of independence of the bar is and has been seen several times by the judiciary. And as litigators, we have seen sometimes, even when you have done your matter and prosecuted it, when the judgment is read, sometimes it would appear like a personal attack, where you are told it was full of hot air, where you are told, as opposed to remaining true to the facts and the law. So it is extremely important, and I have, as co-convener of, for instance, the PPDT Bar Bench, I have deliberately worked with the political parties disputes tribunal to make sure that the question of independence of advocates, even as they practice there, is upheld so that they're treated with dignity and they are not demoralized in any way, including the young lawyers. And that is why you find the political parties disputes tribunal is one of the thriving tribunals, because we have a healthy bar bench relationship where I convene and advocates are able to practice there in a manner that is conducive. The other thing is also to continue then borrowing from that aspect and the lessons I've learned as the convener to strengthen our bar bench committees. That is extremely important because you find that that is one of the platforms where complaints between the judiciary and the bar are able to be addressed. So even when you look at the question of Senior Counsel Ahmed that you have referred to, there was the need, and I remember the ruling in number 38 that said, if you do this, then we shall call you to account. But then he was never given a fair hearing to demonstrate or to get that confirmation that indeed that had happened. Lawyers require fair administrative action as well. I will push for it. I have consistently pushed for it. The other thing that we have seen is state agencies who have been bullying advocates. On Saturday night, when we were attending the Gusii event, I got a call from an advocate who expressed distress, and I was very quickly able to call some colleagues and they helped. I did not need to call. So the question of protecting advocates and the independence of practice is not something you wait for to be elected as the president and you act upon. And until today that I'm mentioning it, I hadn't notified anybody. Because you see, when you have helped a colleague, you don't need to advertise it. That is proper leadership. And I urge you, colleagues, I promise to maintain your dignity so that even when, as your president, I come through for you, I will not take selfies, I will not post them to demonstrate that I have salvaged you. I will maintain your dignity and integrity as an advocate. Independence of the bar can only happen where you have a member's president. Harriet Njoki Mboshe is that member's project.
Thank you so much, Harriet. CKD, please. Madam Caroline.
Thank you. Members should know that there is in existence an LSK Code of Standards of Professional Practice and Ethical Conduct, what we call SOPEC. If you Google, you will see that there's a code of conduct that governs how we behave in public and that we are supposed to behave with decorum. On this issue of Senior Counsel Hamed Nasir, as I said on national TV, the Supreme Court, that is Section 18 of the Act, allows the courts to bar an advocate, that is deny an advocate audience, but for a period not exceeding 18 months. What we saw was a blanket condemnation, and what we saw was an administrative action coached in a manner that Senior Counsel Hamed Nasir will not practice law forever, together with his associates and its law firm. That is illegal, that is unconstitutional, and it is an administrative action that should be challenged in a petition. I refuse to buy the notion that we cannot challenge that, because this was the Supreme Court acting under Section 18. Therefore, that is an action that falls under Article 165. The High Court has jurisdiction to quash that decision. As lawyers, we cannot allow that decision to stay, because what we saw was, other than the blanket condemnation and the bar of audience, are innocent clients that will suffer out of that drastic and draconian administrative action. If the judges of the Supreme Court were aggrieved, they ought to have used the same constitution that allows fair administrative action and also fair hearing to senior counsel. So what is at hand is to have that decision quashed out of the way, because it is a precedent that will govern this society and bind this society 30, 40 years from now. So for me, it cannot be allowed to hold. We should take action as advocates. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Kamende. PMO, please.
Thank you very much. Myself, I won't skirt around the issues. I won't pussyfoot. Let me say this. Ideologies are not neutral instruments that you can pick from the shelf and distribute at will. They are an articulation of the prevailing socioeconomic and political power relations. In this era of constitutionalism, in this era of democratic governance, there is one fundamental principle which is key: the principle of the independence of the bar. As an ideology, the independence of the bar is protected by Article 10 of the Constitution. Without a functioning bar, with a weak bar, with a bar which is plays catch-up, adopting the rear guard approach, then the judiciary can afford to make some of these inherently problematic decisions. I'm telling you. You know, a court of law is not owned by a judge. A court of law is a place, a citadel of hope where you try to seek justice as a litigant. A judge does not own it. So there's no way under the sun that you can bar anyone from accessing a court of law. You can't do that. It can never happen, and it ought not to happen. So myself, as I said, I'll be specific. You know, I keep on telling my colleagues, enzymes are specific when they digest food. Those side of Kenya president, you also need to be specific. You don't go around the issues. Be firm on your, be firm and resolute on the response by Law Society of Kenya. No one likes what Abdel Nasir said. Personally, I don't like what he said. But we must protect his right and the right of his partners to appear in court. So we must remind judges that, the decision which they made is not only unconstitutional, but is morally wrong. So what we need to do as Law Society of Kenya, because the decision will set a very dangerous precedent to the polity. Polity here, I mean the entire legal system that we have in Kenya. Because then it will give impetus to judges and magistrates who now harass colleagues. They harass advocates. I go to Makadara and you find magistrates harassing colleagues, as if they own those courts. They personalize judicial services. So it sets a very dangerous precedent to judges and magistrates for them to have a window to bar advocates from appearing in court. And to me that is very wrong, and for that reason alone, we must stand firm to ensure that that decision is reversed by the Supreme Court, and we need to do what it takes, including what I call soft blackmail, to ensure that that decision is reversed by the Supreme Court. Myself, I believe that it's only the Supreme Court which can reverse that decision. And therefore, we need to do what it takes, including boycott of Supreme Court proceedings until we get the decision to be reversed. And we'll tell judges, you have remedies in civil law. You can sue Abdel Nasir for defamation. You can fight him for contempt as an individual. Thanks. You can't make a decision where you buy him from accessing court. That can't allow.
Thanks, PMO, please.
We can't allow it, and it won't happen under my tenure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, PMO. KBN.
I certainly have to take the challenge from PMO of standing, because I am equally very fit. Colleagues, the attack against the bar is more real today than ever before. The attack against Ahmed Nasir is not isolated. Many advocates in this country who are bullied on a daily basis by judges and magistrates across the breadth and width of this country. This is something that must stop. If I was the president of the Law Society of Kenya, certainly I would call out the Supreme Court for what they did to Ahmed Nasir, because Article 49 guarantees the right to legal representation. Article 50 of the Constitution of Kenya guarantees the right to a fair hearing. These two articles were violated by the Supreme Court. I will not take the direction which was taken by the Law Society of Kenya of taking the Supreme Court to the High Court. It does not seem to excite a lot of passion, because all with the High Court sit on a decision of the Supreme Court. But I do not want to go there. If I was the president of the Law Society of Kenya today, one thing I would do for all the advocates in this country is to have a webinar between the leadership of the judiciary, all judges and magistrates, and all advocates, moderated by the senior bar, by the senior council, where we would have to trace ourselves down there and tell judges and magistrates like PMOW, is it PMOW or PMWO? I get confused sometimes, where we have to tell them, this court belongs to the people of Kenya, and power is transient, and advocates have a right, like their parties, to legal representation. This is something we must do, because we are there as of right, as per the Constitution. That is number one. Number two, I would have to place a phone call to the Attorney General, to the ODPP, Fred Ojambo, the chair of the Senior Council Bar, and we meet the Chief Justice together with the Supreme Court and tell them this is very embarrassing to the body of lawyers. You cannot do these very embarrassing things. You cannot continue to chide lawyers and to chide the Constitution of this country. And I'm very optimistic that if we took this direction, we would be able to persuade them to take a different traction. And these orders are reviewed quietly between Ahmed Nasir and the Supreme Court. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not sufficient. We need to go to the next level, and the next level that I am talking about is that we need to sit down, all of us, and tell ourselves that as advocates, whether you are in the bar, whether you are in the bench, we are under vicious attack from the executive and everybody. Today, the DCI is looking for us. FRC is looking for us. Ladies and gentlemen, as we talking today, police is keen to arrest advocates. This is a conversation we must tell ourselves, and as judges and magistrates and advocates, we must find a way of working together, because we are not fighting each other. We are walking a very clear course, we are walking a very clear lane, and I want to say this so that I end this. The bar, the bench are brothers and sisters. We cannot afford to fight each other. Thank you.
Thank you, KBN. Madam Faith Odhiambo.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the reality is what the Supreme Court did is against the law. We find that's why the Law Society went to court to challenge that decision. We find it was a judicial decision, not just a mere administrative decision. And as the Law Society of Kenya, we not only issued a statement on the same, but we also went to court to challenge, because it brings a dangerous precedent to the rest of the courts, that today you will make a statement and find yourself being kicked out of court, or a court refusing to grant you audience merely because you expressed yourself. I say that Ahmed Nasir deserves a right to be heard. And further, I do not understand even why they extended the same to his law firm and his partners as well. And it's also a disservice to also the clientele that are relying on that firm, because when they come to you, they believe you're the one that can best argue their case. And so it is a great injustice, not only to those members of the public that are entrusting their briefs to that law firm, but as well as the dangerous precedent that they're trying to create to the rest of the bar. When we look at now the next course of action by recusing themselves from that matter, as much as we might want to go and say we will stamp our feet, we will go and make noise, they have recused themselves. They have the right to recuse themselves to hear a matter, particularly if they feel that you will feel disenfranchised if they're the ones dealing with your matter. We have seen situations of leaders, when leaders threw tantrums, the Law Society was ignored for nearly 2 years. We cannot be leaders who are throwing tantrums. We have to be leaders that have a vision, have a strategy, have a plan. That you need to be able to sit at the table at some time, but you also need to stand firm at certain times. We cannot throw tantrums as members of the Law Society of Kenya. And something else that is a message that they must remember, as the highest court in the land, that is a public office. They serve at the behest of the members of the public. Yes, we will fight for independence of the judiciary, but they are not above the law. They are subject to the Constitution. And therefore, they must exercise their decisions and their discretions in accordance to the Constitution. The other thing that I think would work is there needs to be a sit-down and a mediation as the next way forward. I don't think we are living under rocks, that we do not know the kind of politics that have been going on, not only within the senior council bar, but also the senior council himself. So certain issues can be resolved, yes, but I would opt for mediation as one of the ways that we can deal with this issue. At the Law Society, indeed, we are suffering different challenges. But I say the Law Society, working together as one, we are just a phoenix waiting to arise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, candidates. At this point, I would wish to invite my colleague, Mr. Ogada, to take the next phase of questions. Thank you.
Makofi ya Moi. Moja. We repeat, huh? Senior Kopere leaders, the young ones, the Michieka generation does not know how to clap like Moi, eh? So you follow the leader. So moja, mbili, tatu, funga, fungua. Ladies and gentlemen, we are united in one common bond, and we are united in one common code. As lawyers, the spirit of advocates, solicitors, barristers is united in the spirit of Sir Thomas More, he who exemplified courage and moral conviction. We are united in the spirit of Digang Moseneke, he who speaks of the courage of principle. And we've heard from these candidates speak of morality and courage. Let's give a round of applause to these presidential candidates. At the end, we may have different pathways, we may have different reasonings, but LSK is always the winner with this array of talents. I will pose the last question, and this is a question related to devolution. May I ask those engaging in loud banter? The brother in the blue jeans t-shirt, or is it shirt? Yes. Keep it calm, huh? I pose the last question, and this is the question. What, in your view, should be done to make the branches more effective? This is a devolution question. What should be done to make the branches more effective? And this time we start in reverse order. I start with my good friend, CKD. 3 minutes, and then we move. Is it 3 minutes per question, per answer, yeah? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The Law Society of Kenya and the drafters of the regulations in their wisdom donated the welfare and practice issues to the branches, and the branches are listed in the Act. Therefore, the branches are supposed to ensure that they take care of the welfare and practice issues within their regions and their peculiar problems that face our members in the regions. What I would do to ensure that they are effective, first and foremost, there's an equalization fund, and that fund is never taken up. A few branches, when I served at the Law Society of Kenya Vice President, took it up, I would say, like Lower Eastern, that is LSK Southeastern, and a few like LSK Wests. They took up, sought for resources, and they built offices. There are secretariats in those regions, in some of the regions, and as I was going around, I saw that our members, because I saw all our flyers in their offices, walk into those offices and report to the branch officials on any issues that deal with them. Sharing of the revenue to the branches is statutory. There was a motion that had been moved by Senior Counsel Kanjama on the sharing of the revenue. These monies go straight to the branches, then the branches now cascade the monies to the chapters. What I would seek as the LSK president is to have funds given to the chapters directly, other than the bureaucracy of them applying to for the funds through the branches. And increase. Of course, the monies that are given to the branches are not enough for the branches and the branch officials to take care of the welfare and practice issues. The other thing to ensure that there is efficiency service to our members in the branches is to take up the other role. There is a role that is donated to the branch. If there are issues that are unable to deal with, they can give it to the national office. And then again, we devolve PIL cases to the branches so that we also have our members up country taking up some of the matters that we take from the national office. And finally is to ensure that whenever there are appointments, we rotate appointments to statutory bodies as provided for under Section 25 of the LSK Act that allows us to appoint members to statutory bodies as they fall vacant. So I would ensure that we do that so that there is also representation from the branches. Thank you.
Thank you, CKD. Mr. Onyama, my
Thank
friend.
you. Let me say that probably I'm the only candidate who has done a SWOT analysis of the legal sector challenges and the problems affecting the legal education. And as part of the SWOT analysis, I've also proposed a solution. And the solution to the declining practicing space, one of the solutions is to decentralize legal services. We need to encourage legal practitioners to go to the counties. We need to tell them that there's a legal market there which is yearning for legal practitioners so that they are able to get incomes. Don't stay in Nairobi here and you live in Ongatarongai, where you stay in a bed sitter and pay 2,500. Ukikula ugali na mayai. You have opportunities. Don't suffer. Don't suffer. We can decentralize. Advocates who are based in Kapsabet are making more money than the ones who are based in Eldoret. We need to have a strategic and deliberate initiative as Law Society of Kenya to decentralize legal services. I'm telling you. Otherwise, we are going to perish. What that means then is that we need to do what it takes to support chapters and branches. Myself, I have taken a personal initiative of donating books to the chapters and the branches. Because I believe that knowledge acquisition is very central to an upcoming legal practitioner. So these branches need to have offices, they need to have a library and small hubs for legal practitioners who are suffering outside there doing freelancing practice. Why can't they have small hubs at the branches? What that then means is that we must be deliberate about funding of branches. My brother KBN says he's going to give them 23 million. Myself, I say 23 million is peanuts. As PMO, I will do what it takes to ensure they get more than 50 million for programs. Because I know where to get resources, it will be done. My mantra is no excuses. We need these branches to submit programs to the national body to ensure, the National Council, to ensure that we can also track what they do, especially on welfare. There are so many advocates down there who are actually suffering. These branches and chapters don't have money on welfare. I will also do what it takes as Peter Manyonge Wanyama, Law Society of Kenya President, to ensure that I get motor vehicles for branches. That we can be able to arrest situations, for example, where an advocate is vulnerable, and also for purpose of collective consciousness and re-imaging the legal profession. When someone has died, a relative of an advocate, when you go there with a branch vehicle indicating West Kenya branch, a branch motor vehicle, don't you think that will be able to re-image our profession in a much more meaningful way from members of the public perspective? So we must do what it takes to support these branches. For those ones who have read The Merchant of Venice, there's a character there known as the Prince from Morocco. And myself, Law Society of Kenya needs the Prince from Morocco, they need me. We need to shake this LSK tree to ensure that resources go to the branches in a much more meaningful and much more qualitative way. Let's not create excuses. Let's not sabotage programs to decentralize money by having chaotic AGMs. Then we stab proposals to take monies to the branches through the back. That is very disheartening as a practitioner. Let's ensure that we reconnect with these branches. When it comes to training opportunities, as we speak, I'm already in initial discussions with the International Law Development Organization in Rome. I have networks at the World Bank. And what we want is to create training opportunities on climate change abroad for practitioners. What that means is that these training opportunities must come to the branches for them to start feeling the Law Society of Kenya. Otherwise, we will not have a united bar. So the prince from Morocco is here. Branches, you will not suffer.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, all right, all right. My good friend, Harriet Mboshe.
You know, branches are tasked to deal with welfare. Welfare includes capacity building. One of the things I have done with my branch, which is Nairobi branch where I primarily practice, is to make sure that I serve in at least one of the bar benches, which is the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal bar bench committee. And what we have deliberately done is to offer trainings, consistent trainings to advocates. And we always, after every election cycle, have a sitting and ask ourselves, what are some of our challenges? And it is through that that we actually became the leading tribunal, even in terms of digitization and in terms of devolution, which helped advocates outside Nairobi in this past 2022 election cycle to be able to deliberately take up election disputes. That was very important, and it's something that I intend to empower the branches to do consistently. That is why, again, as a member and LSK Nairobi representative, I have been participating in bar bench proceedings. I attended recently the Chief Kathy one and was able to share with them some experiences from the other bar benches that I have attended, so that then, and linked them up with some of the solutions that they can be able to get. It's something that we can continue to do to strengthen our branches through empowerment of bar bench committees. The other thing that is extremely important is mentorship. We must make sure that we continue to have a mentorship scheme that is entrenched. The best way to do that is not through the national office. We must devolve that, because it is the branches that are able to know where the shoe pinches the most. I have personally done it through what we call mentorship barazas, where we have brought senior advocates from within Nairobi, sat them in various sittings with junior advocates and the mid-bar. And it has worked to enhance the relationship between the bar. The other thing is to push for absorption of advocates within counties. When we came in as National Council, we did quite a lot of visits to various agencies. It is important, and when I become the president, God willing, I will take with me branch officials to each of those branch visits so they can have the relationship that is necessary. When an advocate is arrested in Nairobi, they should be able to call a Nairobi rep, a Nairobi branch representative. We shouldn't keep every other relationship in the national office. We should empower our branches. The question of masqueraders, as a member of the devolution committee, I have pushed for increase of funds to the branches, and this has actually happened. I undertake to do more. And when Nairobi branch officials, Steve Wanjiro and the vice chair, Elizabeth, mooted a motion, I actually encouraged them, I supported them, because I understand the need coming from the largest branch. I have also pushed for more resources to be allocated to Nairobi branch, because resources follow functions and resources follow human beings. Nairobi branch has majority of the members. They deserve service as well. Mental health is equally critical. I will empower branches to be able to deal with that.
Asante sana. Before my brother and good friend KBN addresses us, ladies and gentlemen, kuna wale wangwana wako kwenye gumzo kule nyuma. Those who are loudly conversing, let's keep it low kidogo. My pastor says, you're appearing on TV, by the way, if you didn't know. Kuna live camera here. My friends, the journalists, are watching you. That shows you the amount of interest that LSK is generating. So mujipigie makofi. This is the, you clap for yourself. This is the Law Society of Kenya, the premier bar in the region. Makofi. Mbili. Tatu. Now, when you're a member of the premier bar in the region, you also have to appear on TV, you look intelligent. Si ati ukionyeshwa kwa TV, wende unapiga kelele, unakaa ni kama umezubaa. Sasa, so you appear intelligent. Eh? Kuna difference yako na mtu anaitwa Salasia. Did I say that out loud? Asante. KBN, asante sana.
Thank you very much, Dr. Odhiambo. Ladies and gentlemen, KBN Nitisho is the only candidate who has served as a council member, vice chair, and chair of a branch. Over and above that, I've been a treasurer of the Law Society of Kenya. Similarly, I've been the chair devolution. I would identify 3 challenges and propose solutions. Number 1, if I became president tomorrow, the first thing we would need to do is to demarcate functions between branches and the national office, so that we don't have a situation where the president of the Law Society of Kenya is sharing cost list about the absence of a certain judge, the branch chairperson is doing the same, the chapter chairperson is doing the same. We need to demarcate functions, and while demarcating functions, we need to agree that on matters of practice, under section 24, 25, 26 of the LSK Act, we allow branches to deal with mercenaries, like Brian, who was there the other day, the guy who had a beard without qualifications. We ensure that branches are funded to deal conclusively with quacks and mercenaries, so that we do not have a situation where you fly a council member all the way to Meru or Nakuru in a van. You spend 100,000 to go and arrest an old lady there, splash 100 photographs on WhatsApp of the arrest, another 100 photographs of attending court when the application for detention for 14 days is being mounted. We must demarcate functions. I will do that on day number 1 in council. Number 2, branches are heavy laden with responsibilities and geographical location. Look, for example, at Southeast. It has Makueni, it has Kitui, it has Machakos, all the way to Garissa. We must make counties to be the locus of devolution. And when I become president under the regulations 2020, we must agree to fund operations directly of chapters, so that we reduce the responsibilities of branches which cannot be supported by the funding that we have. Number 3, we must have mechanism of devolving the practice standards committee, so that it helps branches to deal with practice issues and employ more lawyers who have training in investigation to deal with issues of practice on a daily basis by engaging advocates. And then finally, in-house counsel have been locked out of branch activities, not because this is deliberate, but because of the nature of the way branches are organized. We must develop the in-house counsel committee. We must have a council member who engages with in-house counsel at the national level, at the branch level, who are in counties, who are in county assemblies, so that we have a united law society. KBN Nitisho, KBN is tried and tested on matters of devolution. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, my good friend KBN, the governor. My friend, finish it off for us.
I would focus on 3 areas: practice, funding, and the collaboration. In terms of practice, structured meetings with the judiciary, so that we ensure that the issues that our branches are handling, they'll be able to have the highest access, be it from the office of the chief registrar or to the office of the chief justice. Branches are an integral part of the Law Society of Kenya, and therefore they should be able to deal with any judicial officer touching on matters of practice affecting our members. On masqueraders, we have worked hand in hand, and I must say, it was after the call of the Nanyuki chair, when he was dealing with the issue of masqueraders, that LSK should come and work hand in hand, that LSK took up that issue. We have since sent a kitty for masqueraders to support the work that the branches and chapters are doing to weed out these masqueraders. With regards to counties, I must say that as much as you're being encouraged to devolve and go down to these counties, who are the cartels controlling these counties? Will you get work as a young lawyer? Will you be given an opportunity as a young lawyer to get work so that you go down to these counties? What we have been trying to do as the Law Society of Kenya, that when we go to any county, we try to have a visit with the county attorneys, with the governor, so that we raise also the concern that they let them work hand in hand with our chapters, let them work hand in hand with our branches. Let us dismantle these cartels that are controlling work. Also at the Office of the Attorney General, we started the process of working that they should start giving more work to young advocates, and not on percentages, because we know how those percentages work. They will give one law firm and say they have met the percentage that is required. Let's devolve and ensure that at least even briefs for 3 million, we don't fight with all the seniors for smaller briefs. Let young law firms also grow. Now, with regards to funding, what we'd want to see is activities, more devolved activities, and we work hand in hand with the branches. The projects, LSK has been partnering and supporting the different works of the branches. This year we got funding from UNDP and UNODC to support legal awareness work and also different trainings for our branches. So this is already work in progress, and I'll ensure, if God willing you put me as your next president, we will ensure the same. In terms of welfare, the challenge I got recently even from Bungoma, they would want to see the medical welfare happening also at Bungoma, happening in Kakamega, happening in Kisumu. We'll ensure that we work hand in hand with those branches and chapters to ensure that happens. With the equalization fund, we have been able to support different chapters. Eldoret got money to fund its office, Kakamega as well. What I'd want to see is we double that equalization fund, that our branches can focus on more projects. In terms of collaboration, I will assure you the way we have worked hand in hand with the branch caucus chairs and the chapters, responsive to their issues. When they called us in Kisii, we were there. When they called us in Kisumu for the mandamanos after most of the members were being arrested, we were there. When Nakuru chapter called us, we were there. I promise that we'll also be there for you. The PSP agenda stands for members, the PSP agenda stands for branches, and we'll work hand in hand. And as I finish, let me say, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. It doesn't matter where you hail from, be it Rongai, be it Karen, be it anywhere. The law equalizes us.
Asante sana. Aya, aya. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you. Order, order, order. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you very much. Now, we have been treated to a good debate, right? It has been civil, it has been friendly. These are all my friends. I have worked with them. We have been on opposite sides, and we have been on the same side. Let's clap for the presidential candidates. Now, our time is well spent. Huh? Our time is well spent. We are going to take only 4 questions owing to time constraints. 2 ladies, 2 gentlemen. Where are the ladies? 2 questions. The ladies? Where's the lady? Where's the lady? There's a brother of mine, Amenom Kono. Where are the ladies? I see Miss Kasoa behind there. Any other lady? Miss Kasoa? Next to Miss Kasoa, you want to ask a question? Miss Kasoa is there. Any other lady? Wanadada. Alafu mtasema mimi si wapendelei. Haya. Miss Kasoa. Haya. Miss. Short and sweet. Good evening. Haya.
I'm also a candidate, but as my president, I have one question. I'm sorry that I view the institution of council as the biggest threat to our practice in case it does not change and turn around like the Mtunga one. Like the Mtunga reforms, as my presidential candidate, what do you have in place to completely transform LSK to become so responsive that today, if Parliament is discussing labor laws, you are there and making sure all advocates are in tribunals, hapo kwa labor. Land policy, land reforms, we are there. Maneno ya health, we are there. Technology, we are there. Thank you.
Ms. Konucha here. My brother Clifford. Ms. Konucha here. Good evening. Yes, it's on. Here.
Good evening, colleagues. My name is Anna Konuche. I'm also an aspirant for Vice President. My question, with my background in education, I know that we are quite a number of advocates that are joining the bar every year. And my projection is that in the next 10 years, we will have about 50,000 advocates in the profession. My question to the candidates, presidential candidates, is what is your vision for the Law Society of Kenya 10 years from today? What do you recommend as a business model for advocates joining the bar? How do we absorb young lawyers who have no jobs, no opportunities? Right now, if you advertise for a vacancy, you'll get quite a number who will actually apply for that job, telling you that the opportunities are shrinking. What is your solution to that, and what is your vision for Law Society of Kenya 10 years from today? Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will deal with those first. For purposes of time management, we will not answer those questions, all of us. I will want to select the candidates that deal with this. I will ask CKD, I will ask Tisho, the governor, and I will ask Harriet Moshe to deal with the question by Council Kasoha and Council Konuche in 2 minutes. Deal with those two questions, and then the next set of questions will be dealt by the rest of the candidates. Clifford.
I will deal with the, you said
Either, yeah, 2 minutes.
Let me deal with both of them partially, but the one by Caroline Kasoa. Section 26 of the Law Society of Kenya Act allows us to keep a register of all the statutory bodies that require our membership. When I served as the Law Society of Kenya Vice President, we established a task force to look at bodies that required advocates, but the requisition for them had not been sent to us. To ensure that we are all over, I will initiate a review and also implementation of the decision that was made by the task force to ensure that we are everywhere. Like you said, we need to be, when labor laws are coming up, we are everywhere. And we can only do that by establishing what statute requires a lawyer and there's no lawyer there. What policy requires a lawyer and there's no lawyer there. So that is one thing that I would endeavor to do. On the vision, unfortunately, there is no institutional memory in the Law Society of Kenya. I'm sure advocates who are here and they were admitted now, they don't know what the Law Society did 10, 30 years ago. For us to ensure that there is continuity and that our lawyers 10 years from now, who would be 50,000, I think it's time we started sending the resolutions of the Law Society and the decisions that have been made to members. Harriet Chigai had started that initiative, so I think it's a good challenge to us, and Konuche, we can take it up. My vision is an all-inclusive bar that everyone 10 years from now will feel that they are part and parcel of this society. How to ensure that they're absorbed into the society 10 years from now. I think we need to initiate removal of hurdles that bar our members from employment because of the requirement of experience. Let's say, like, to join the judiciary, you need some 2-3 years experience. I think that is something that we can take up and review so that we absorb members as they come in, as they are churned from the role of advocates. They are free and able to join institutions like DPP, like ESCC, without hurdles as to years of experience, because they need this experience. And where do they gain this experience if there is no platform for them to join the experience? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Harriet Mboshe, short and sweet, 2 minutes.
So far, on Kasoa's question, I'd like to say the threat to members. We have had comments, deliberate comments about state projects. So the first duty is to members to make sure that we pick or we elect a president, and I trust members to do this, who is a member's project, who is not capped by the state. Why do I say that? I have deliberate for members. As a Nairobi rep, I sat in a committee that was pushing for pro bono increment in terms of the pay, and were able to push it from 30,000 to 40. We wanted more, but we were told this financial year, this is only what we had, and we pushed them to the highest. And by a memo of October 2023, that was indicated, and many branches will confirm that this has already been implemented. The amount has moved from 30,000 to 40,000. We stood up to the judiciary on that. We have also pushed so that the issue of taxing of the amount does not happen. And there's a framework to make sure that it does happen. Payments are being made on time. Again, I have stood up through as co-convener for the in-house council committee to the SRC's attempt to infringe on the non-practicing allowances for advocates. We were able to catch them and stop them. And this I was able to do in 2022 when we were made aware by our members that there was an attempt to scrape it away, despite the existence of a court order. The other thing that I'll be keen on doing is to make sure that minutes of council are public, so that we don't come here and say about transparency in terms of allocation, of appointments and all that. Members need to actually see whether or not that is happening. On Konuche's question, proactive legislation, mentorship, I do that already through mentorship barazas, capacity building of members, I have done that including through bar bench committees in my Nairobi branch. Cross-border practice, we must make sure that if we are not getting reciprocity, then we are also not granting. We also enhance opportunities for advocates by getting into multilaterals and bilaterals, so that our advocates, last year we did more than 1,800. We need to create opportunities for them. If we are not getting reciprocity, we are not going to have reciprocity, we then give opportunity.
Thank you very much. Asante sana. Governor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ogada. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the Law Society of Kenya, for the last many years, we've been a reactive institution. Yet Section 4, Paragraph B and A of the Law Society of Kenya Act requires the Law Society of Kenya to advise government and assist the people of Kenya on matters of legislation. Fast forward, if elected as a president, the first thing I would need to do is to re-energize and build capacity of the Secretariat, especially the 4 directorates, legislative, public interest litigation, and practice standards. We must make sure that they have capacity in terms of training and personnel. And this means we are going to employ more advocates. That is number 1. The PIL committee, the Law Reform Committee, the Conveyancing Committee, In-House Committee, and all these other committees are run basically on zero budget. If elected as a president, I would lobby to get more money for these committees so that they are able to advise government, advise parliament, advise cabinet secretaries on several policies and interventions that are taking place, so that we don't react every time. And where they don't hear us, we go to court through the Public Interest Litigation Committee and involve as many lawyers as possible. On matters of 50,000 lawyers that come in, or that are likely to come in the next 10 years, I must say we are doing very badly, but there is a bright future when KBN becomes the president. I have a robust plan in my 4th agenda of expansion of opportunities. Expand courts to every constituency, employ as many advocates as possible as magistrates, as prosecutors, as state council. Engage the land registry so that it's more efficient. Engage the registrar of companies, BRS system, registrar of societies, become more efficient, and bring back the practice of immigration law, court annexed mediation back to lawyers, ensure that lawyers are all over, they are all over the counties, and they are all over these spaces, and there are good terms for in-house counsel across the national offices and counties.
Thank you very much. Asante sana. Thank you very much. I saw a hand up, my brother Omwanza, not Omwanza, but Omwanza, George. So you give the mic to Georgie. Any other guy? A gentleman? Short and sweet. I see a hand behind there. Clifford.
Thank you, moderator. My question, since I asked my question, I need to say my name is Okenyo Mwanza. Where is the joke? My name is Okenyo Mwanza, and I want to assure all the presidential candidates that I will fully support whoever members are going to give me. Asante sana.
He's pushing it far with us. Kule mwisho, your question, short and sweet.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am an advocate trainee. My question to to the president is, I realize that the young boy is being used as a weapon of campaign. My question is, what plan do they have to our advocate trainees, especially pupils? Thank you.
President PMO. President candidate PMO. Oh, I'm told I need to take one question. Ogor Uchieng. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ogada. My name is Chibaba. God is my other name. I want to wish all the presidential candidates best. Now, the ones who are remaining is Faith and PMO. Kindly just say something positive about each other as we continue.
Thank you. Thank you. So we will take a response from presidential candidate PMO.
Thank you very much. Let me begin first of all by saying that the plight of has really saddens me. Myself, when I came to Nairobi for the first time in 2005, I began my life at Majengo slums. I began my life at Majengo slums.
Order.
I have lived in Rongai. I have lived in a bedsitter in Rongai and at GSU headquarters. So I understand which practitioner is on a serious note. Young lawyers are actually suffering. LSK does not have a database on the employment of young legal practitioners. How many lawyers, as we speak, are unemployed? How many lawyers are underpaid? And then we at LSK, seated there, we are doing about it. Let me make it clear. Because I have rose through the chain, applied as a I am what it takes within my powers, Manyonge Wanyama, Law Society of Kenya President, to ensure that we redial that matter. For example, we need minimum guidelines on the remuneration of young legal practitioners. Must do what it takes. We must model of minimum remuneration for young text to create
effective and meaningful CPD program. This CPD program that LSK is having is such a shame. For example, how dare you as LSK, how dare you have a CPD on mental health and then you charge legal practitioners who have problems to pay for it. We need to make CPD on emerging areas of legal practice. I would want these young legal practitioners to know
pathways of policy and legislative development. I will want to mentor them
to the global forces that define the legal economy. Lastly, on something positive about faith, I admire faith's resilience. Thank you. Thank you. But they, as the Igbos say, no matter how good a dancer you are, you must exit the stage.
Vice President, presidential candidate Faith Odhiambo. Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Hey, order. Now. Excuse me, order. Order, order. I appreciate your passions and emotions, but as lawyers, we will be wasting time with the Igwes and those political chants for now. So let's allow Faith to give us her part. We move on to the next session. Asante.
Let me start by addressing the advocate what he has raised. And the best phrase to say it, how the question of the young lawyers and the plight they have, is that there's a lot of chemi za uongo. And why I say this is, if you want to judge a person, look at their track record. Look at the trail that they have left behind them. The trail of young lawyers being fired haphazardly on SMS. The trail of young lawyers being told that you have not read, you don't know what legal decisions are about. That is the trail that you're being told. Now, the trail that I live, apart from having taught, the number of years I've taught, I am passionate as Ann Konuche with the number of young lawyers that have taught and are sitting here with us today. An honor and a privilege that you meet them in court, you meet them as you deal with different transactions, because you have seen them grow, you have seen the work of your hands. Now, when we started the mentorship program with the Office of the Chief Justice, it was that realization that we have admitted over 2,200 lawyers. Where are they going? What opportunities are there for them? When I started the mentorship program, even with the university students, was that realization that they also want to be part and parcel and have a future and hope as they grow from the law schools into the Law Society of Kenya. And I took up that mantle because my passion is real. My love for the young lawyers, my love for all of them are real. It is not on a mantra because I want to be the president. Now, the plan that we have is to have networking opportunities for lawyers. Not only that we bring this business industry to you, not you going to look for them, you won't have to play golf, you don't have to have expensive memberships. The LSK will bring that home to you. The CPD on the new areas of practice to ensure that we expand the practice spaces for all our members. And policies, I say one important thing. It is so painful to listen to stories about young lawyers who even had to pay PCs for their pupil master to be able to be admitted. There are things as a society we'll have to sit together and agree on a policy that will take care of you, even from the point of holding over to the time you join the Law Society of Kenya. And don't be cheated that we'll apply even a different model from a different country. Have you looked at that jurisdiction? Have you seen the policies of labor in that country? That you want to adopt it in this country? Let's not lie to each other. I've walked around this country, I've seen even the challenges of certain farms. What we need to agree on is by branch and branch, based on the economic circumstance of any region, we agree on a minimum standard. Let me finish by saying that listen and interrogate. What are those minimums? How will they do those things that you're being promised? The Law Society is greater than each and every one of us. And as we plan for the future, on 29th of February, vote for a president that will be honest, that will work for you and work with you. Thank you. Something positive is his tenacity in how he expresses himself for the things that he's sharing with the membership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really, I don't know. CKD, I don't know. We are really constrained out of time. Yeah, I'm really told we need to stop. So we'll probably engage on the sidelines. Can we thank the presidential candidates for their time? Makofi ya nyayo. Moja. Thank. Senior Kopere will show us how to do it. Moja. Mbili. Okay. Asante. So we are going to give them a final word, 30 seconds each. The microphone will start from CKD. Final word, 30 seconds as we close. 30 seconds, please. Time is well spent.
Dr. you kindly allow me, just before I take my 30 seconds, I feel that the question that was put across on pupils was not answered. I feel that the emotions took center stage other than answering the question. The question that was put across is, what mechanisms do we have for pupils, because we are all talking about young lawyers and the senior members of the bar. That question, my answer would be twofold. One, we need to create more spaces so that we can absorb pupils right from Kenya School of Law. The president of Kenya School of Law wrote to me an email sometimes back. I was not serving in the Law Society, and asked me whether we can identify areas of partnership. I confirmed that I took up the matter, and we need to liaise with stakeholders like the judiciary, ESCC, and other stakeholders so that we can absorb pupils right from Kenya School of Law. LSK is the biggest consumer of these pupils because they end up being our members. We need to partner with them, with the Kenya School of Law, so that we don't have pupils hanging around after Kenya School of Law because they don't know where to go. So, sorry, I felt that that question was not answered.
Thank you. 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Caroline Kamende Daudi. I have a track record that speaks for myself. I leave behind structures that are there in the Law Society. I will continue leaving behind footprints if you elect me as the next LSK president. I have been tried, tested, and proven. Not only tried and tested, have been proven to be a leader you can rely on. I am responsive. I will be here to answer to all your welfare practice and any other issues that emerge as the spokesperson of the Law Society of Kenya. 29 February 2024, Daudi Kamende Caroline is your candidate and president. Thank you.
Gentlemen, Mr. Wanyama.
Yeah, thank you very much, colleagues. Allow me to say one thing. How many persons in this room have I ever paid your PC? Last year I paid for 57 advocates on their PC. Starting with them. There is one student at Riara Law School who is on full scholarship. There is one student at Riara Law School here who is on full scholarship. I don't know. Full. And the dean can be able to confirm. Don't vote, just listen. Please.
Order.
We are eating my time. Just listen. There's one student and the dean can confirm, Dr. Lando. I have a vision for the plight of young legal practitioners. Sometimes I am tough on my messaging, yes, but I truly cherish. And to me, my leadership is guided by the book of.
Thank you.
I believe in a consequential strategic leadership for the state of Kenya. Funds are not committed in the sense that not served before. I have eaten money. I have not misappropriated your cash. I am coming as a strategic leadership which is missing. The Society of Kenya is on a shaky path, a path of entitlement. You don't want a leadership where you personalize LSK. LSK is not your personal property.
Thank you.
Lastly, Dr. Ogada, you gave my colleague time. I am in LSK and I will not earn a single allowance from the Law Society of Kenya. I cannot, as a legal practitioner, I cannot, as a legal practitioner of 16 years experience, I will not, in my
which is due to me, the president will go towards supporting an advocate who has mental health problems. And I made that promise. Today, I request that you vote to be the next Law Society of Kenya president. I promise serious, equitable.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ladies, now. We have proceeded well. Ladies, listen to me. Ladies and gentlemen, we have proceeded well. We will finish with you, Harriet Mboshe. I want us to go to the governor next. 30 seconds.
Friends, on the 29th of February 2024, the Law Society of Kenya meets with its destiny. On the ballot, we are going to have Huduma courts. We shall have quacks. We are going to have on the same day mercenaries. We shall have charlatans on the ballot. We have the option, ladies and gentlemen, of effective courts. We have corruption, visitation to State House. We're going to have a sober leader. We are going to have a polarizing leader. KBN is tried, independent, sober, honest, and objective. Make a destiny on the 29th of February 2024 by electing the man of the moment, a man for this season, a man who's been tried, tested, and approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Asante. Faith, 30 seconds. Order.
At the end of the day, before you are all these presidential candidates, formidable, and they come before you, and the hope that they will stay true to their promises that they're making this evening. Now I come to you calling upon all of you members of the Law Society of Kenya. Have faith in faith. On 29th of February, we choose a leader, and in faith, the PSP agenda will stand for the indispensable voice of the Law Society of Kenya. We'll stand to remodel the Law Society to face the dynamic changes that we're having, the challenges that are the storms before us. But you do not stop when there's a storm. When the hills are pouring, you forge on. You need a leader that will have the vision, has the plan, and has the mantle. At the Law Society of Kenya, faith is that leader. I commit that I will walk with you, I will work with you, and that we will ensure that LSK is raised to a gold standard. I ask that may the Lord bless the Law Society of Kenya, and let's remember that justice be our shield and defender.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Harriet Mboshe. Order. Let's listen to Harriet Mboshe finally. Order.
Microphone iko sawa. Thank you very much, colleagues, both online as well as in person today. On the ballot, there will be the question of independence of the bar. The state has been categorical in indicating that they have sponsored candidates. Colleagues, you need a president who has a track record of fighting for members. In-house counsel, I have fought for you when SRC wanted to take away your non-practice allowance. Pro bono practitioners, I have fought for you for the amounts to be increased. I have fought for you for the payment to be streamlined in terms of timelines. I have fought for you, colleagues, including young lawyers, mid-bar, and the senior bar, to ensure that if we are not getting reciprocity, then we will also not allow for expansion. So that the only way we can safeguard the space for advocates is by making sure that we enter into strategic collaborations. Today, you have had each and every one of us. I trust members to make the right decisions. You have seen our character. You have seen each and every one of you, each and every one of us. You want a president who characterizes, who epitomizes a firm, bold agenda, firm, bold action.
Okay.
Not stories, not hope, but action. Firm, bold action. Harriet Njoki Mboshe
Thank
is
you.
the president that epitomizes that. Thank you very much.
Asante
God
sana.
bless you on 29th.
Wasn't that entertaining and quite energetic? Thank you very much, candidates. We will now move on to the next session, dealing with the candidates to the Judicial Service Commission. Candidates, please, musalamianeni. We are all brothers and sisters. They just wave.
So they just come and wait, and then the VPs take 1 minute.
All right. Now, the Judicial Service candidates, JSC candidates, JSC candidates. JSC candidates. JSC candidates. Order. All the other candidates, aspirants.
Position of up-country representative in the incoming council. I'm asking for your vote and your support. Thank you so much, Nairobi branch, for organizing this. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Please vote for assessor. Next, any other up-country representative? Move to no other? Yeah. All right. General members present.
Good evening, members. My name is Chrysostom Xavier Harvey. I'm current general member representative. On 29th of February 2024, I'm requesting all of you to turn out in large numbers and to vote for me to the position of LSK General Member Representative. I thank you very much to the Nairobi branch for organizing this debate. I hope that we can be having even these debates for other positions, but I'm very, very grateful for what has been done here today. God bless you all, and I'll see you all on the ballot on the 29th. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Eunice, my sister. Good evening again, colleagues. Thank you, Nairobi officials, Madam Chair and your branch. My name is Caroline Hasoa Wanyonyi. I will be on that ballot at, you know where W is. So my request is kindly start with W, because I know you all want to be members of tribunals. I know you all want to be members of quasi-judicial bodies, and you need somebody who is seasoned in the boardroom and on the corridors. Colleagues, if there's something that does not lie, is track record. I invite you to have a meeting with yourselves. Before you drop that vote, remember when you close your eyes and open, who will be in Gitanga Road, chair number 9, fighting for your practice and your nobility. Vote Wanyonyi Caroline Hasoa, General Member 2024-2026. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lumala. She's my member of the litigation committee. Good evening, members. All protocols observed, because we have our president, my seniors here. My name is Teresia Ovinya Nicholas, currently serving you as a council member in the Nairobi branch. Thank you very much for coming for this debate. I'm standing before thee with humility to ask you to elevate me to go to the general member representative in the National Council. I want to continue safeguarding your practice area as we started in Timrat. I want to continue ensuring your welfare is taken care of, just like how I launched a medical cover in the Nairobi branch. Allow me also, as we have discussed in the debate, to be part of the council that will work hand in hand with the chapters, hand in hand with the branches, because I have the experience. As my senior has just spoken right now, track record is everything. I have it, select me, and you will not be disappointed. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Good evening, members, those who are watching us online. My name is Stephen Mbogwa Wanjiro, and I know today we had a long day. We were dealing with some quack who was trying to steal our business in Nairobi, and we have successfully managed to nab them. But at this particular time, I want to request you that on 29th of February, as you make your decision of the leadership of the council, to consider leaders whose agenda is geared towards safeguarding your space of practice. We must become deliberate, and my agenda has been centered on safeguarding our space of practice. We cannot allow quacks, we cannot allow masqueraders, and qualified persons claiming that they have acquired experience by serving in law firms and other state organizations to provide legal services to members of the public, take away our business. So therefore, I humbly request you, as you cast your ballot on 29, vote for Stephen Mbogwa Wanjiru as one of your preferred Nairobi representative to the council, to a vote toward a safe and better space of practice. God bless you, and God bless the Law Society of Kenya.
Good evening, members. My name is Ochieng Gor, or Ochibaba. I currently serve you as your Nairobi rep. Kindly repeat me. You can, those who are Nairobi reps are not vying except me. Nairobi rep, you vote for 3 people, Ochibaba and 2 others, because Cohen is not vying, and my friend Joki is also going for the presidency. So you don't want to overhaul the whole thing. It will look very bad, eh? So come the 29th, kindly remember me, and may God bless you and your villagers.
Good evening, members. First of all the very best to the 3 candidates before us. Thank you to the organizers. Apologies, I came in a bit late on the campaign trail. My name is Vincent Gidaiga. I currently serve you as one of the 4 upcountry representatives in the council. I have offered my candidature again to serve for another 2 years. I wish to continue serving the upcountry practitioners to enhance devolution, more funds to the branches, and also more devolution of other functions to the branches. As you know, we've devolved the Justice Cup, we have devolved the annual cocktails. Next on the 22nd is the annual general meeting, that is the AGM in Nakuru. So there is a lot of more exciting things that we can do for the upcountry practitioners. Again, for that position, there are four positions for upcountry. I kindly request for only one. Please vote for Vincent Gidaiga as one of your upcountry reps. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
Good evening, members. My name is Josephine Oyombe, but I'm here as a proxy for one of our colleagues at the branch, that is Gloria Kimani. Salamu za Gloria, mnazipokea? So she sent me to just greet you on her behalf. She's vying for the position of Nairobi rep at the national office, and she humbly requests for your vote. So namwombea kura, I hope you can support her. Thank you.
Vice presidential vote. Maybe we listen, we just say hi to Gloria, Mr.
Thank you. God is good. And all the time. Hey, butu salamiane hivyo. Thank you. They usually call me the 3 a.m. guy. And the man with 9 cats. Watu wananifukuza nisisimame. Lakini Mungu ni nani? Mungu ni nani? Okay. My name is Gadhi Irogo. Outgoing member of Advocates Disciplinary Committee. And I'm still in the ballot for that position. I bring experience. I bring, as a mediator and a arbitrator, I bring mediation. And I bring fairness. Na kukua mzee, nalete mambo ya kuangalia watu vizuri. So on 29th, jina ya kwanza itakuwa Gadhi Irogo. Siweke tiki bwana. Asantini.
For the presidential candidates, we'll start with Mr. Mwaura Kabata. Vice President.
Hata hiyo singekataa. Good evening, friends and colleagues. My sincere apologies. I have a coarse voice. This is due to the ongoing journeys of campaigning and speaking to our colleagues. I am currently serving all of you as a general member representative in council. I also convene the Public Interest Litigation Committee and as well as a member of the CPD committee. I am a candidate among the three before you for the position of Vice President. Allow me to just say two things. Why am I the best candidate? Number one, I am currently serving you diligently and I have not offended that mandate. My very good friend George will come and tell you that he will work with any presidential candidate. But let's not go to that right now. He has a track record of not doing that. My very good sister and friend Konuche will also come and tell you that she's not a state candidate. I don't know why she says she's not a state candidate. You can always just explain your qualifications and that will be all. Colleagues, on the 29th of February, next Thursday, I'm appealing to you to allow me to elevate to an even higher mandate to represent you as the next Vice President of the Law Society of Kenya. We need an effective secretariat, we need an effective LSK, and we need an LSK that works for all of you. Have a lovely night. I love you all. God bless you. I am very eager to listen to our colleagues for the male representative to the JSC, so I will be perched on my seat, and I wish all of them a fruitful engagement. Thank you so much.
Next, let's have Anna Konuche. Gerono.
All protocols observed. Good evening, members. Yes, and before I begin, I want to wish the JSC candidates all the best. I was in that seat 2 years ago, but that's a story for another day. My name is Anna Cherono Konuche, on the ballot for the Vice President of the Law Society of Kenya. I have served you members between 2018 and 2021 as a member of the Advocates Disciplinary Committee. We served with Gading Irungu. I think he forgot to mention that. And I have also served you in other committees. If you look at your Law Society of Kenya journals, between 2012 and 2018, I am listed as an editor. I served in that committee. Currently, I am a teacher. I have interacted with quite a number of you, and I have made an impact in the lives of many young advocates. I seek and I come before you that you vote for me as the Vice President of the Law Society of Kenya. The term of the council is 2 years. So you need a candidate or you need a representative who can make an impact, who can have an impact, not just on the membership, but also on the society. You need a candidate with a vision for the society, with a picture, an aerial view of what the society should look like. And my vision for the Law Society is one that is respected, that is known worldwide. And as one of the presidential candidates says, one that can be respected enough to enter into agreements or MOUs with bar associations of even higher quality or better economic status to allow our members to practice in other jurisdictions. That's my vision for the Law Society of Kenya. I come to you on a platform of welfare, on a platform of corporate governance, on a platform of transparency, and on a platform of the rule of law. I have traversed this country. I have walked door to door. I may not be able to reach everyone, but those I have reached, please remember the plea. Those I have not reached, consider this a personal request for your votes on the 29th. I am a fresh, candidate. I have not served in council, but I know what I can do. So 29th, please vote for me, Anna Cherono Konuche. My name should be, I don't know whether the first or the second on the ballot, but look for a friendly face. God bless LSK. God bless all of you.
Thank you, Anna. Finally, we have, is it final? All right, I've been asked to call him Georgie Omwansa with an S.
Good evening, colleagues. I know Kabata threw a banter, but I'm not big on violence. So once in a while, I let it slide. Kwa majina Okenyo Mwansa George, nawania kiti cha naibu wa raisi, na niko tayari kumpatia yeyote ambaye atakuwa rais 101% support. I present a candidature stronger than Kabata's. I present a candidature stronger than Konuche's. Konuche, despite the fact that she was a teacher, she was largely using my case to teach those students. Kabata, despite having been in this council, I don't know how much he has done in terms of mentorship of the young bar. I run a mentorship series called Mwansa Law Talks. I run a WhatsApp conversation chat called Chats and Chill. And I also do other things within the profession in line with practice. I've been a practitioner for 14 years. Konuche has been a teacher for so long. So anytime you will hear anything about practice, any day you will be told about Huduma Center, Okenyo Mwansa George or the OG will be the first one to be there before Konuche is there and before Kabata is there. Kwa hayo mengi au machache, na waomba kwa moyo mkunjufu munipatie hicho kiti cha deputy or vice president. Kabata tutamtafutia kiti cha up country 2026-2028. Asanteni sana.
Good evening, learned colleagues, those in the room and those online. My brothers vying for JSC, I wish you the very best, all the best in the debate. And today is nostalgic because 5 years ago, I was in the position of moderator when we started these JSC debates. And I must celebrate the branch for continuing the same trend. My name is Eric Kakemu Kivuva. When the time comes, I will be vying for branch chair Nairobi. I seek your support. Thank you very much.
I must say, we are very grateful for your patience. It's important that we take time, and I hope Council can hear me outside, to listen to our JSC candidates. JSC is a very important seat, and to start us off with the questions and the process for JSC candidates, I would invite Mr. Ogada to start us off. Thank you. It's fine.
But do we say, Amjambo, our time is well spent. Hatuna maneno mengi. We will skip the bios, because if we read them, we are going to be here till tomorrow. We know them. They are our colleagues, they are our friends. Probably we'll pass the mic for 2 minutes each. Each candidate will tell us who they are and why they are going for the JSC seat, and then that will start us off. So where's my brother from Nairobi LSK? Clifford?
Good evening, colleagues. My name is Ishmael Nyaribo. I started my practice way back in 2003. I had been in business before. Let's say that was my second task. I had been in business before that. I've run my business both in downtown, and now I'm located at the Milimani Road, just next to, between the Heron Hotel and the Sagret, the famous Sagret Hotel. I have been in corporate practice as well before again coming back to practice in 2009. I had been in corporate where I was the legal affairs manager for the international mask shipping company for about 6 years. I have had the privilege to sit in the bar bench of the Constitutional and also the Judicial Review Divisions of the High Court in Kenya. The other time you were gracious enough to elect me as the chairman of the Finance and Budget Committee, which is the statutory committee of the LSK Act, where I am serving and hoping to leave to join the Judicial Service Commission when you, with your grace again, elect me. I think because you said we've got to be brief, that's it for now. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Eric Theuri. I was admitted in the year 2005. I have about 19 years post-admission experience. I seek your vote and mandate on the mantra of enhancing judicial independence, in offering you stellar representation, and in championing transformation. My bid for JSC representative is actually based and hinged on my experience. I want to say that I am tried, I am tested, and I am proven. I have, in the course of my duty, demonstrated and service to this society, demonstrated utmost commitment to the principles that underpin our profession: professionalism, commitment, dedication to the rule of law, and the defense of our Constitution. I have no non-affiliations to the state. I am not a state candidate. I am a candidate that seeks to offer you proven leadership at the Judicial Service Commission. And under my leadership, the Judicial Service Commission will experience true transformation. Your voice and your concerns will be heard, and we will enhance corporate governance, accountability, and finalize transformation. I think, does that say I have still 1 more minute? Yeah, okay. All right, I was just trying to get the rules of engagement because I think I know we are short on time and I needed to get that. So I urge you, ladies and gentlemen, and friends and colleagues, to favorably consider my bid to represent you at the Judicial Service Commission. I believe that I can save the few seconds that remain for further engagements.
Basi, Bwana asifiwe. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. God is good all the time. This is the day we shall rejoice. Ah, hallelujah. Thank you. we have, all right, okay, colleagues, learned friends, Nairobi branch members, it's an honor to be before you. My name is Michael Wabwile. Yesterday, 20th of February, marked exactly 27 years since I was called to the bar. That was on 20th of February 1997. So I'm 27 years and 1 day at the bar. It's just an anniversary, so to speak. So on my bar anniversary and 1 day, I'm again before the learned colleagues, pleading my case before them and saying, we have a candidate. You see, we advertise for positions and people come forth. But on this one, on the JSC one, let me tell you, we have no doubt. There's no doubt that we have. All right, okay, for those who care about my CV, I was at the University of Nairobi 1990 to 94. I graduated 1995, Kenya School of Law 95, 96, University of Cambridge Masters 97, 98, University of Leicester 205, 209 for PhD. I'm a professor at Egerton University Law School, where I'm also the founding dean of the law school. Do you want a CV you want to take to JSC? Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. You have it. You have it. We have. This is the CV for JSC. Now, okay. Colleagues, I have a lot to say. That's just about a snippet of my CV. I have served you with dedication at the disciplinary committee. I served with my colleague and former student Anna Konuche, 3 years, 1 term. We cleared backlog of pending judgments. I've served you in the council 1 term, and the council members entrusted me with the job of fixing the LSK journal. We had backlog of the 2021 volume. It was not there. We fixed it. We delivered 3 journals in less than 2 years under my watch as your editor-in-chief. Please clap for your editor-in-chief. This is an editor-in-chief who performs. Colleagues, I'm not a politician. I'm a technocrat. I know how to fix issues. I solve problems. 3 journals in 2 years. How? How? I also serve you on the audit committee, and I've led the council to institutionalize corporate governance. I have so much to say, but I just hope you will listen me out and then you say and agree with me that we have.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Good evening, colleagues.
Good evening.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you. First, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Order.
Okay,
Order.
thank you. Order. Thank you
Order.
very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Can we speak now? Can we now converse? Thank you very much. Thank you, Micheka. My name is Omwanza Ombati. Yes, my mother also calls me Samson. First, I'm a human being. I am a son. I am a brother to 2 sisters. I am a father to happy humans. I'm the family clown. And whenever I'm able to, I also contribute to the society in my own means. I have been practicing law for the last 20 years. I've had the privilege also of having a professor here to be my teacher, and also Banatehuri here, who was a housemate in campus. And I have had the privilege to practice law and share this journey with all of you, starting from in-house, corporate, conveyance, and now I specialize mostly in complex commercial litigation and constitutional litigation. Thank you. In my 20 years, I've had the privilege of mentoring over 50 young people. who've turned out to be great, great advocates. And this is a journey that I enjoy, and I hope that I will continue that in my journey of life. And I like boasting, without discrimination, that one of my students is the current MP for Taita Taveta constituency, Bana John Bwire. I am a leader, and I've served leadership without an elective position. I like saying that I'm a leader without a portfolio, and now I come to you and ask that you give me the mandate to serve you as the male representative at the Judicial Service Commission. Thank you.
Asante. Thank you. Asante.
I shall soon demonstrate in this debate that I am the most qualified candidate, and I present the most compelling case as your commissioner for the next 5 years, who's visible, accountable, and who's able to represent your interest on the table. Asante sana. Let us enter into this debate.
Okay. Asante sana. What Mr. Omwanza did not tell you that he's also my client. We went to court to protect the barriers of the Constitution. Asante sana. Now, candidates, we now have a more relaxed atmosphere, a mature crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, can we agree as our rules of engagement that we will not heckle, we will not shout, we will not yell? Please, however distasteful you may think of what is being said, just be respectful enough, keep quiet, we will engage on the outside. We have, I think, up to 9 o'clock to be here. So, timekeeper, we are going to be very strict on time. We are going to have 2 minutes each per candidate. So, candidates, when he says stop, please respect him. We have up to 9 o'clock to be here for the following 4 questions. I will deal with the first 2 sets of questions, then I'll yield the floor to my colleagues. The first question and goes to Mr. Nyaribo, and it will be answered by the rest. What is your view on lawyers sitting in the JSC as practicing lawyers sitting in the JSC as LSK representatives? There's that conflict. We have the current holder saying that you should not practice as a lawyer when sitting as JSC. Others hold a different view. Over to you, Mr. Nyaribo. 2 minutes for each candidate.
Yeah, colleagues, we appreciate that the law does not bar any person appointed or nominated to represent the LSK to practice law. And I think there is nothing that prevents such a person once appointed to the LSK to practice. However, from practice and history, we used to practice with, for example, Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir. And there's a matter we had where he was on the other side, and I was a little bit more scared as a, not junior, but more or less coming behind him, which was beating a local bank, and it was a land matter. And he was sitting at the Judicial Service Commission, and he came to argue, and you know, that feeling. So the feeling that has been developed since then is actually that people or commissioners once elected to the JSC should abstain from coming to appear in court. I stand by that view, and I do commit that if elected to the Judicial Service Commission, I shall not come to the High Court of Kenya or the tribunals to practice there until my term of 5 years is completed.
All right. This is a controversial question, but it's a question that has previously been determined by court. And I think that we need to get to that place where we recruit judges that would be able to render decisions irrespective of the parties that are appearing before them. Because if we take the view that a judicial service commissioner appearing before a judge intimidates that judge, then there are so many other extrapolations that can be developed on that. But the other reality is that there is always an element of disquiet whenever a commissioner appears before the courts. And I think that as a commissioner, one should caution himself against appearing in court, so that even though in principle there should be nothing to bar anyone from appearing in court, to avoid the appearance of bias, a commissioner should caution himself about appearing in court, and I intend to caution myself about appearing in court when I am elected as a Judicial Service Commissioner.
Yes, I want to address that question from a constitutional theory position and a constitutional practice position. The position is that this JSC representation role is a part-time position, and it does not bar a holder of this office from engaging in other employment. But wait a minute. The Leadership and Integrity Act points out that if you are in public office, you ought to refrain from all appearances of conflict of interest. Now, we have reached a point where we have the constitutional theory and the constitutional practice. At this time, we have a holder of that office, Honorable Macharia Njeru, who interprets his office to be inconsistent with litigation practice before the courts. It reaches a point where the holder of an office interprets his role and gives a considered position. I want to say that I agree with the position taken by the current holder of this role, Mr. Honorable Macharia Njeru, because of two reasons. One, as a JSC commissioner, you hold immense administrative authority over the judicial officers. No doubt about that. They appear before you for interviews, shortlisting, appointment. You also have access to their disciplinary and complaint files. Then there's the aspect of unfair competition. When a commissioner joins a panel, let me tell you, the head of legal will give them the big files. You mutaenda nyumbani mkilala njaa. If a commission evidence on this, I've myself signed a statutory declaration confirming in a signed, sworn, and filed statutory declaration that I will not step in these courts for the 5 years that I'll be serving you as a commissioner. I've had a candidate saying they are committing not to practice, but where is the commitment? Is it signed? Where is it? Is it sworn? Is it filed? I'm the only commissioner who commits to give you peace in these courts for 5 years. That is the proper constitutional position from the current holder and from the incoming holder. Thank you.
Asante, Professor. Mr. Mwanse.
Yes, thank you. Professor forgets to point out that he is a teacher. So even if he does not practice, he ordinarily teaches. He would have bread and butter. The position of a commissioner at the Judicial Service Commission is a part-time job. It is not full-time. It means that if you do not practice, then you have to supplement your income somewhere. My good friend here, Professor, does that every day as a professor in the university. So there is nothing he loses. We've seen what happened when we had a previous commissioner swear an affidavit and say that he will not practice law. We've suffered an era of aloofness, disconnect from the practice of law, and our day-to-day grind in the practice of law. Once you disconnect from your constituency, then you are at another pedestal. I think the most important thing is to commit to be ethical, to commit to be a fair human being, because do magistrates also, the ones who represent magistrates, do they also commit not to appear in the magistracy in court because there's a chance that there will be an appellate decision against them in the High Court, or the same way to the Court of Appeal? So there is no, it's not written in any law, and the practice that my colleagues here are trying to do is to discriminate against those who are qualified, and most of you practitioners, so that you are excluding yourself as practitioners from competing for these positions on something that is not written in the law or implied. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you. You have done well on that round. My second question is this: what steps can be taken to enhance judicial independence and accountability? We have had the tempest. We've seen the threats. It's a continuing concern for us, judicial independence and accountability. Do to enhance independence and accountability. We now start with Professor Wabule. Your 2 minutes on that question.
Okay, I think one of the problems that I have with the issue of judicial independence is that we do not have proper structures for developing the capacity of judicial officers to assert their judicial authority and respect the dignity of their office. So we have a huge problem because we just hire people and throw them in the deep end. So when they are there, they are only too willing to be captured. You know what? You want to capture the judiciary, but the judiciary's officers are just ready and eager to be captured. So you have a problem. They are excited to receive a call from somewhere, because that's an opportunity for them to try to get some influence or something. So we have a huge problem of lack of capacity. They don't understand the power of a state office, of a judicial officer. They are eager to be captured. So you have a problem. If it's an endemic problem, the whole system has capacity issues. One of the things I'm trying to introduce in my 8 manifesto pledges is to introduce a judiciary training policy. It will have 2 components. One is a pre-service course for advocates who consider and are planning to take a career in the judiciary. The judiciary will itself invest in developing the capacity of the future, the next generation of talent that we want to bring in. Right now, we hire you, we throw you in the deep end. There's no training. We think that you have been in practice, you have been doing something, you are good enough for judicial office. You don't know the theory and the technicalities of holding a senior position as a state officer. So there's need for capacity training also for in-service officers in the judiciary to understand how powerful the office of a judicial officer is. Without that, we have the wrong skill set. We are going to continue, we are going to protect the independence of the judiciary, of a judiciary that is ready to be compromised, to be bribed, to be captured. Okay. We have a huge problem. It's a systemic problem which you can deal with by reviewing the training policy and capacity development.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Deuri, on the same question.
The steps that we will take would be one, ensuring that we develop a thorough process of vetting judicial officers and magistrates before they are appointed, introducing training, additional training for magistrates and judges, development of key performance indicators, the enhanced use of technology so that we can have a transcription of proceedings, we can have accurate capturing on and the record of proceedings, because it is those that can enable us to gauge and assess the performance of judicial officers, and that enhances accountability and transparency and reduces corruption. We need to enhance transparent court processes that will also go towards enhancing the question of accountability. Under the Judicial Service Act, we also have a process of pre-vetting, which can be done by the Law Society, and maintaining a pool of suitably qualified judicial officers. That is also a measure that we can implement to enhance the question of independence and accountability in the judiciary.
Thank you, my brother. My brother, Mr. Mwanza.
Thank you. I think there are two facets of that question. Number one is on the issue of judicial independence. In terms of judicial independence, there is a corporate responsibility by the Judicial Service Commission to protect judicial independence under Article 172 of the Constitution. The second facet is decisional independence, that those judicial officers who dispense justice should do it without fear, favor, impartiality, or ill will. That is the second facet. Now, how do you promote judicial independence as a commission? Number one, by speaking about it and being strong about it. We've seen what Justice Martha Koome said, and we've seen the statement that came out today as a communique from the leadership of the judiciary. Now, that is protecting judicial independence. But in terms of decisional independence, that is a personal responsibility for each judicial officer. So that is the first facet of the question. The second is this: what about accountability? Accountability means that those who dispense justice are accountable to the users and are accountable to the public. And that means that they deliver justice in good time. They are not slackened, they are not indolent, and they are not rude to the users or lawyers. And you have a judiciary that is responsive, efficient in the administration of justice, and that respects the public and the office. I think that answers the question of both judicial independence and judicial accountability.
Sana, we go to my good friend, Senior Mr. Nyaribo.
I think this question can be attacked in two ways. One, you know, we have had in the recent past where the judiciary has been attacked carelessly, both by the government or state or executive, and also to some extent by our own colleagues. The attack is so much vicious and, of course, to some extent baseless. I mean, I say baseless because what evidence is tendered? We talk of judges or judicial officers who are not independent, incompetent, corrupt. We must adduce exact evidence or particular evidence that shows that it is true this particular officer is corrupt or is not independent. That then would lead to a process of removal. So I tend to blame to a certain extent, and I think you will excuse me here, that we participate in weakening the independence of the judiciary by not dealing with our own members who rampantly complain and bash the judiciary without specific evidence. For that matter, I've seen people, you know, of the stature of a senior counsel actually carelessly, you know, accusing the judiciary of specific mistakes or, you know, crimes which they cannot substantiate. So I think that we should do more as LSK to tame our own members, to allow the judiciary to operate. Lastly, the character of people who go to sit in the judiciary. You know, the president has mentioned something like there's a pre-vetting. It's a whole rule in the Judicial Service Act that allows people to gossip about you. I think that process should be properly managed so that it is not every Tom, Dick, and Harry who rushes to saying you probably differed or you have some, your own differences, and then you write long letters actually accusing a person carelessly. So my point here is we should know the people who are being appointed or, being hired as judges. And this is important because we keep saying, some my colleagues have said, we need training, we need better structures. These are there. There are best laws we have in the judicial, governing the Judicial Service Commission and the judiciary. The problem is the people behind are not committed to actually following those rules. So individual characters of a person should be studied, not just on a panel like this, but from history. Who are they?
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I cede the floor to my brother, Dr. Otieno, who will take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ogada, and thank you to the candidates. I have one question for you. We have judicial diaries for colleagues who are in litigation, and oftentimes we have trainings for judicial officers and the like. Then people are given dates. Sometimes, like in Nairobi stations, last year, towards the end of last year, you're being given dates. Hearing dates in Milimani commercial courts were going as late as August. Then August comes, you go for your hearing, then the first thing you're told, rather you find a notice that the judicial officer is not sitting and they have gone for training for official duties. I wonder what is more official to a judicial officer than sitting to hear matters. What plans do you have in dealing with the chaos that characterize judicial diaries for litigation advocates? And I would request Mr. Omwanza to start us off with his views on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. I think this is one of the main issues that I discuss in my manifesto, that we have diaries that are managed haphazardly, and we have events, according to what my good friend KBN says, that are run as if they are La Ninas and El Nino. They are not predictable. And I think one of the mandate of the Judicial Service Commission is on training. It's on training and programs that improve the judiciary. There was a case that was also brought to court on that issue, and the judiciary says it can manage its own affairs. But now it is time for the JSC to develop a policy document in consultation with the leadership of the Law Society and users, including the branches, the chapters to the national level, that take the concerns of these users about disruptions, about predictability, and about having diaries or managing our time. Now, if you look at most stations, and I agree with you because we all practice, in most cases you do not proceed because there is another function that a judicial officer is involved other than judging. So, as your commissioner, this is one of the things that I would want to deal with because it affects all of us practitioners, and it's one of those concerns that need to be addressed urgently because it affects the practice of law and your bread and butter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mwanza. Professor Wabwile, please.
Okay, contrary to what my former student said, I also practice active litigation files. I go to these courts. I'm also affected. Yes, I go to these courts. I I have active court matters, mostly in Nakuru law courts. So we are affected by the disruptions in the court diaries, and to me, an availability of a judicial officer to render basic services like attending to their, the diarized matters goes to the root of performance management. So in my manifesto, I have listed as one of the policy reviews to review the tools for performance management, the judiciary's performance management tools. And one of them is a very basic thing called the service charter. The judiciary has a service charter. It tells us when we expect certain outcomes and services from the judiciary within what times. We just need to go back to the service charter, the JSC service charter and the judiciary service charter, and sit down with the management of the judiciary and agree to be true to Kenyan people. We review those tools, we review the performance management structures and make sure that what we have held out in the performance management tools is complied with. So if we have a service charter, we have to comply with it. To me, it's more of an operational issue, it's a performance management issue. It is something that can be dealt with. Think about this way. Somebody decides to disrupt a diary. That's an operational issue. We just need to stop it. And to me, the JSC must have one of the committees that deal with risk management and performance management. Either we have a judiciary that works, or we tell Kenyans that we are lying to them that what is in the service charter will not be delivered. To me, it's a matter of performance monitoring and performance management, which is the duty of the JSC as a board to deal with. And my manifesto, I've recommended policy interventions to deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Mr. Nyaribo, please, your views on that.
When I was coming here, I had an appointment with a client, and I needed to go to him, but I was also needed here, and another person was calling me, and also my son wanted me to pick him from school. These are three important events I was supposed to do. We need to look at the problem of dates and look at the judges as human beings, okay? I mean, we know we are hardly 40% employment capacity of our judiciary. We still have about 60%, which we need to employ. So I think these judges are human beings. He has been told you've got to go place X and do another function. And he's the same judge who should be actually attending to our cases. So we are looking at the judge and the courtroom, but the problem is bigger than that. The problem is the judiciary needs to be supported with finances. We had a problem in 2020, when the former president refused to support the judiciary, by financing them. So the problem is employment, if you ask me. The problem is we do not have enough judicial officers today, so that we have DRs. The deputy registrars are the same people who will come and sit in your court. They finish management, they come sit in the court, rush court, go back to do management issues, administrative issues, and then write judgments, and we expect them to be very good judgments. So my point is, we must support the judiciary. We must have it capacitated so that they can employ more judges and more magistrates. Now, in addition to that, you know that I came in yesterday, and I should show you my manifesto and all that. I mean, it's another issue altogether. But the point I'm trying to tell you, my manifesto is saying that we should hold courtroom officers. I'm talking about the clerks, the executive officers, the administrators of court. They should be liable in how do they conduct themselves in court, in the court corridors, and behind the courts. How do they conduct themselves? We will have to agree with commissioners that every single Kenyan who is employed and is earning salary in the name of a clerk, in the name of an executive officer, should be liable. Those parameters are there today. Those, the policy, you talk about policy is there. The issue is the people we employ. We do not even know them. You employ a person today, and by the next day is actually really twisting you, telling you the judgment is not ready. sorry, I forgot to include your matter in today's date. So for me, it's a question of employment and how do we administer the clerks and the administrators of the court. Yes.
Thank you so much. President Teuri.
Thank you. The problem that we have in the judiciary is one of under-resourcing when it comes to provision of training services. So that you have a calendar, but the calendar is not backed by sufficient resources to ensure that the trainings will take place at the scheduled time. So that you have a training and then you are trying to seek donor support, and you know what happens. He who pays the piper calls the tune. So they will decide when you will have that training because of when they give you the funds. So one of the things we need to do is to enhance the capacity of the JTI resource-wise to be able to mount trainings that they can deal with. The other issue is we need to harmonize those trainings. They should be based on a needs assessment. We should look at the question of value for money and to ensure that as you come up with a calendar, there is strict implementation of that training calendar. I also think that there is a need to enhance the recruitment in the judiciary. We have shortages of judges, shortages of magistrates, which make it very, very difficult. If you have a two-court station, if one is away for training, then it creates a problem. So those are issues which we need to look at. But also, we need to also look at the question of transfers and how transfers are done, because when they are carried out in a haphazard manner, it still creates such a big impact as the implementation of an haphazard training calendar.
Thank you so much, candidates. I, at this point in time, would wish to yield the floor to my colleague, Madam Eunice. Thank you.
Thank you, Council, for being very attentive to listen to our candidates. I wish to close this session of question and answers from the moderators. And I will not disclose who, but I know part of the team this side is very close to bedtime. And therefore, allow me to ask for two questions from probably this side and this side, or lady and gentleman. And as we are getting the question, probably we'll take maybe 2-3 questions. Mr. Nyaribo mentioned that the Law Society needs to find better ways to discipline our members. And as you say that, I thought of our procedure for disciplining senior counsel. I don't know what you all think about that. Maybe you can answer that briefly if you can in the next session. But allow me to take two questions, one from this side and the other one from that side. I will choose Mokua because I know you. Manyara. I'm biased. Allow me to be biased. Just now, his hand was up actually first. And
okay,
then we'll start with him.
Okay, thank you. I would like to get a clarification from Mwanza. That you speak about creating opportunities for young lawyers. And there was a debate in some sections that the mediators in the court and ex-mediators should be, in your view from the manifesto, is that the mediators should be advocates. And a section of these advocates believe that it is good to share these opportunities of mediators between advocates and non-advocates. Kindly clarify that issue for us.
My name is Effie Sheila. I'd like to ask a question to all the candidates. The question about you practicing before courts has been raised to you. And I know there's some corruption or some pending cases in court. As a commissioner, I will need protection. As a commissioner, would you think that appearing before that same judge who is listening to a corruption cases, why are you jittering about corruption? would you think that appearing before a judge who's listening to a case that involves you then brings the issue of conflict? That question goes to all the commissioners. But if you feel like it's yours, then it's yours.
Good evening. Good evening. Mine is just a follow-up on Efishila's question. And mine goes to the 3 aspirants, except Omwanza. I think it's on record that Omwanza says that he will continue to practice. Now, for the 3 of you, I do believe in one way or the other, there is your name in a certain farm. Even if you distance yourself from practice, someone else will appear under that farm before a judicial officer. Don't you think there's still conflict of interest? Will you then fold those farms or delete your name from those farms? My question. My name is Gitahi.
Good evening, members. Good evening, candidates. My name is Maura Ndwati. I'm also young, so I squarely fit in the young bar. And I have 2 questions for, 2 questions, maybe a rider at that for all the candidates that are before us. So, okay, I'll consolidate those questions to one. So one is to all the candidates, and it's with regards to small claims practice and the conflicting decisions we have in the High Court. On the 60-day rule and the other on the RTA by Justice Kizito Magari in Mombasa. I believe it's only one candidate. I've had the benefit of perusing, I believe, only the current LSK president. But for the benefit of all members, what is your, what will you do as a commissioner to remedy whatever is happening? The other one is administrative. On summons, for some of us, when you apply on the e-filing platform, we have situations where you're told that they've been received, but they cannot be published. What you're going to do, again, I've also had the benefit of only one candidate address it, and it's the president.
Yeah. I think, thank you. That is a very important question, asked what we can do with the conflicting judgments in the court. We have one today. There was one that cleared me, for example. I mean, there are decisions, so we don't need to worry that they're in court. There's one that cleared me. There's one in the other next court that refused to admit our other colleagues to come and contest, though they are from different divisions, but they are high court. There are many of those judgments. No one actually comes out to help us understand how that can be handled. What I dream, what I wish, what I plan to do is we should look out at all judgments that are conflicting each other in the same division, in the same bench, not the division. If it's high court, this judge says land X belongs to so-and-so, and then another judge actually, just in the next room, says this land belongs to another person. What can we do? In my view, we should involve the National Council of Administration of Justice. We must harmonize all those judgments, have them together. I don't know, we form something sort of a secretariat within the JSC so that they are transmitted after an audit by the National Council of Administration of Justice. We avail them in the Supreme Court for a particular opinion so that we know what jurisprudence are we creating in the High Court or in the Court of Appeal. This is a big problem, and I think we should have judges accountable for the judgments they make. I mean, this question of a judge is not accountable to anybody must be stopped by the Judicial Service Commission, not through the charters that you have had or whatever, but by understanding people and what they do historically, what is their character, and actually recommending them from removal from the judiciary if it were possible. Yes.
Thank you. Do you mind giving it to Professor Wabwile?
Okay, let me deal with the question of the question by Mr. Gitahi about practice. people are really asking, will you really cease practice? It's true that I have clients. I also have fee notes which have been paid from litigation files, which I'm going now to have to stop and forego to serve you because I care about you. But I want to say that legal professional practice is bigger than litigation. So if you feel that litigation is the only area, then I am here to say sorry. We have other things we do in this profession. There are those who do conveyancing, and they are doing just fine, like my colleague Elizabeth. She's doing conveyancing, she's doing just fine. Yes, we have those who do consultancies, like I'm doing consultancies in policy reviews, higher education consultancy, and legislative drafting, which is also quite a very exciting area of practice. I want to say that my firm will not be in any of these courts. Professor Wabwile and co-advocates and consultants will not be in these courts. 2 years ago, immediately after you elected me to the council with more than 2,300 votes, I ceased taking any new litigation matters because I sensed in the spirit I might become a JSC commissioner. I could see that in 2 years I might be a commissioner and it might complicate my exit from the courts. So I don't have very many remaining matters. I'll hand them over to my former associates who are familiar with these matters. They will file notices of change of advocates. And all is gonna just be fine.
Okay, let's, thank you. Let's listen to Mr. Omwanza.
Thank you. I think there were 5 questions. Should I pick one?
See which one hasn't been dealt with, or
Okay.
the one that you feel the spirit moves you to,
Okay.
to deal.
Okay, I will address the issue of mediation, and that is one of the issues that court annexed mediation. In England, court annexed mediation is governed by an act of parliament, and those that practice mediation are also qualified barristers or solicitors. So the way they do it is that first you are qualified as a lawyer, as a solicitor or barrister, and then you get certification. I think that is the model that I'll propose, that you exclude those that do not practice law to engage in court annexed mediation, because this is our work. We draft the pleadings, we do the cases, and then you give it to a teacher or to an engineer or to a banker. So that is your work. That's it's called, in America, I think they call it product liability. My view is that we ring fence our practice, because that's one of the issues that all of us are thinking about, the future of the practice of law. Let us ring fence our work. Let us have advocates go for this certification the way they do in arbitration, and then they can do these matters. And then we can have this for mediators for maybe young advocates between 1 and 5 years, so that they also use it as a matter of earning a living. I think that is how I look at it, and that would be my proposal. Thank you.
There's a question by Quincy, and I think that the position I took is that my belief is that we should be able to have judges and magistrates who exercise decisional independence as a bare minimum. But then again, one must be alive to the question of the appearance of bias. And as a result of the question of appearance of bias, I said that I will caution myself. So it is a personal choice, but my view is that we should, as the JSC, be able to appoint judges who would be able to render justice to the high and to the low. Secondly, when it comes to the question of the conflicting decisions that are coming in the small claims court, my view is that since the High Court is the final court, we can adopt the practice that used to be there when there used to be conflicting decisions in the Court of Appeal, so that if it is a three-bench, if there are decisions from different three benches, you then constitute a five-bench that clears the law. We've already spoken to the Chief Justice about this, and we are hoping that we would be able to get any appeal on the question of either the 60-day or compensation over personal injuries, so that a bench can be constituted to look at that appeal and clarify the conflicting decisions that are there.
Sorry, just for a point of clarification, I think you cannot resolve the issue of small claims court by taking it to a three-bench. It's not possible because a judge is a judge. And that has been settled in the law. Without a doubt, that has been settled in the law. My proposal is, no, this is a point of, we are allowed in debate to raise a point of order. My proposal is that this can only be done through law reform. You have to go to Parliament and clarify the issues that have arisen in terms, for instance, of RTA. If a judge says that you cannot pursue a small claims court in through an RTA, an RTA claim in a small claims court, you cannot resolve that through a three-bench, because another judge can again disagree with that. So the issue is to have this clarified through law reform. And I saw the communique today from the leadership of the judiciary in Naivasha, and that is the way to go. Thank you.
Now that brings us to an end of the session. We really want to thank everybody for today. And there's a lot we can learn. There's a lot we can learn from the team here, not just from what has come out of them in terms of speech, but also their demeanor, isn't it? Their patience, their values. And therefore, allow me to call Mr. Misheka to lead us in appreciating the team.
Good evening. Want to thank Mr. Nyaribo. Want to thank our President Eric Theori, Professor Wabile, and also we want to thank Omwanza Umbati and my teacher Felix Odhiambo. Thank you for this session. Thank you, Madam, for this session, and thank you for all of you who've been patient. And I believe that at the end of the day, or after 29th, after the votes have been counted at 9 p.m., we shall be advocates. So let's clap for our candidates. Thank you.
You are going to do the closing. Yeah. All right. You see, guys, that's what you do when you have to stand out like he has. You get picked, chosen, you know. So he stands out. Hand clap for him. Allow me to call the vice chairperson of the Nairobi Law Society, Miss Elizabeth, to come and close this session. Thank you.
I think before I close, the candidates can, or the, candidates can have 1 minute each, yeah, to give their closing remarks. Then we give the closing remarks on behalf of the branch.
Thank you. Good evening again. Good evening again. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on 29th of February 2024, you are going to have a date with destiny. It is a date for you to make a decision on whether you want a practice that works for you. It is a date to make a decision on whether you are going to have a commissioner who sits on the table and negotiates for you. It is the date that you make a decision whether the next 5 years, as you practice law, you are going to thrive or you are going to perish. And in conclusion, you have a choice between stagnation and a fresh dream. Do we choose a fresh dream? Thank you and good night.
Basi, good evening, colleagues. Good evening. Now, I just have 2 requests to make of you in the half minute remaining. First, I would like you to pray for me. Number 2, I would like you to set in your heart a decision to vote for me. And finally, I ask you, please request 5 other members of LSK to please vote for Professor Wabwile, the commissioner who cares for you, the commissioner who loves you. Look at it this way. I'm the only candidate with a signed, commissioned, sworn statutory declaration format of a manifesto, meaning I mean well, I mean every word. I'll begin working for you from day 1. And now, this is a decision moment. Please vote for me, please. Please vote for me. Are we together? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are called to a noble profession. And the nobleness of our profession is demonstrated in our dedication and in our resolve to defend the rule of law, to defend the administration of justice. I ask you very, very humbly, on the 29th, you turn out and you vote for a Judicial Service Commission, for a Judicial Service Commission that espouses the principles of judicial independence and accountability, that your voice will be listened to and your concerns taken into consideration, and that you will have a judiciary that is truly transformative. Go for tried, tested, and proven leadership. May God bless all of you.
My colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, leadership is really about maturity and sacrifice. It's soberness and the willingness to be polite with people. I was supposed to be filing another application. Sorry, just give me a minute. But after consulting with my friends, I said, 1 month's loss is not everyone's loss. So I said, I will go to my people, even if it is the last minute, because I started my campaigns yesterday. This is the first day you're seeing me on campaign, because I couldn't campaign unless I had been nominated, and I was nominated yesterday. I still said I will sacrifice. Let me be known the much I can be known today. These are the final submissions, so that you determine for yourself, is there maturity, is there patience, is there politeness, because that's really what is leadership. I want to urge you on 29th, you look for a person you can approach any moment. Number one, a person who is non-aligned, not even aligned to another group and this group, not aligned to tribe, not aligned to state house, not aligned to anywhere. I will serve you. I will serve you, my dear friends. We have not interacted a lot, but take your time. Take your time. Human beings are just unfair, because you see, first day, but before I finish 1 minute, he has already said stop. No problem. Please, on 29th, choose Ishmael Nyaribo. Listen, one more last word. Please, one more last word. I am not going to use big terminologies, transformative, been in trenches, gone this, done that. No. Tafadhali munichague. Mumesikia wamedanganya ati JSC hakuna chakula, lakini mimi ile kitu kidogo wanapata kwa sitting allowance ndio mimi nafanya nini? Na wakati mutakuja as lawyers ati iko magistrate anaandikwa, iko court clerks, come to me directly. There is no pretending. I will look at you and consider you. Asante sana.
Yes, on behalf of the branch, Micheka, on behalf of the branch, I would like to thank all the candidates who have come for the debate today, for your thought-provoking answers. Let us give them a round of applause. I would also like to thank the branch council and the secretariat for organizing this event. Another round of applause. The panelists can even stand. Po ile makofi ya Nyayo, ulisema ya Nyayo, daktari. So the panelists stand. Let us give them the makofi ya Nyayo. Moja, mbili, tatu, funga, fungua. Thank you very much, our panelists. Thank you for running the sessions and keeping things both under control and reasonably on time. Most importantly, I would like to thank you all for your patience. The participants present physically and those who are present online, give yourself a round of applause. My final remark, there's no such thing as a vote that doesn't matter. Ensure you all come out to vote on 29th February 2024. Otherwise, all this will be in vain. Have a very good night. Let us stand up for the national anthem. Yeah, sorry. Hold on. A special thank you. Wait. A special thank you to our hosts who gave us this venue for free. Riara University, Makofi. Aya, national anthem. E Mungu nguvu yetu.
Na tukae na uhuru, amani na uhuru, raha
African anthem. Ebu